if that makes.
Good evening. It's 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, February 4th, 2006, and this regular meeting of the Sandpoint City Council is now called to order in the council chambers at 1123 West Lake Street, Sandpoint, Idaho. For the record, I am Mayor Jeremy Grimm presiding. Also present are Council President Deb Rule, Councilors Joe Espiro, Kyle Schreiber, Pam Duquette, Joe Tate, and Joshua Torres. Under the city's adopted code of ethics and civility, as the presiding officer, I am to identify law enforcement personnel serving as Sergeant of Arms for this evening's meeting. Tonight, we have Police Chief Corey Kuhn in the back. Thank you, Chief Kuhn. If everyone would please stand, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For members of the public in attendance, if you wish to speak during tonight's public hearing or during the general public comment portion of the meeting, please complete a comment sign-up form and hand it to staff at the back table. Please note that our general comment time following announcements and reports will be the only opportunity for public comment regarding new and old business and consent calendar items or other general matters not on the agenda that are pertinent to the business of the city of Sandpoint. If you wish to provide testimony during the public hearing, please note as much on your sign-up form and wait until the hearing has begun to provide those comments. Next, moving on to mayor's announcements and general announcements from council and reports. Council, the only highlight I would bring forward right now is you're not aware, but we've been doing a lot of work both in GIS and GPS to manage our fleet of vehicles. And I'm pleased to report that we've completed the GPS. So all of our city vehicles now have GPS. It's pretty neat. We can both validate if there was an accident or a snowplow hit. We can look at efficiency of routes. We can look at real time if there's an emergency, if we have staff in the area. So in general, all the directors have dashboards where they can look at their associated vehicles in their departments and get real time and historical knowledge. So that's kind of neat. The GIS is making great strides in upgrading that. We'll be soon rolling out improved public-facing dashboards for people using our map, showing various attributes and information, and that is going to continue to be improved over the year. And then finally, I just wanted to touch on you all are going to facilitate a strategic planning session for our strategic plan update if needed. I've instructed staff to work with Council President Rule and others to help you find a appropriate facilitator for completing that strategic plan. And if you desire my presence, I'm happy to be there and wish you a lot of luck on and success on development of that strategic plan. With that, any council announcements or reports?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Pam.
I have the Sustainability Committee meeting minutes from last week. I guess it was the 27th. We approved our minutes from the previous meeting. We had quite a bit of old unfinished business. We had a report on the committee's prioritized goals and objectives for 2026 with Rachel McKinley, who's been helping us. She also shared a communication plan because we had questions on who asks the mayor questions, who talks in the community about anything. We talked about the energy efficiency improvements audit report that we found because of the previous sustainability committee. I got their minutes and found a lot of things they had started. They had an energy efficient audit done by Avista. So we've been looking at that to see what that entailed. We are trying to get a student pilot project going so far we've had 5 universities we've contacted and 4 have been interested. We're trying to get a student to come help us get some background, some data off like energy consumption, electricity, so that we have a baseline to start to look for improvements. We also leading cities ACELI government program sent informational in, and the mayor did apply to be part of the program, so we'll see how that plays out. Michaela shared the Project 7B and Sandpoint Forward Resilience Plan that is now finished, but it's not out for public yet. We also talked about coordination of 2 resilience programs that are in the progress. We talked about our goal for what's being shared tonight and how that was going to be shared. And yeah, a lot going on in the Sustainability Committee.
Thanks for your energy in that, Pam. Any other council announcements or reports?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Kyle.
we had a regularly scheduled Urban Forestry Commission meeting on January 22nd. Staff gave a presentation on the Cedar Street reconstruction project and the silver maple that's going to be preserved. And we elected new chair and vice chair and discussed trees in the downtown parking lot and an Arbor Day event.
Awesome. Any other council announcements or reports? All right, with that, we will move on. Any staff reports? We do have a full crowd tonight. I'm sure you all want to let us know their thoughts, but anything worthwhile? This is Jason Welker, Director of Planning and Community Development.
Could you tell people that there's a couple empty chairs?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council.
There's a
we're-
few empty chairs up front if anyone wants a couple.
Maybe there's chairs. Okay,
Yeah.
stand.
Empty chairs up front. I'm passing out to you a report produced by Ryan Wells from our Recreation Division, Supervisor over at the James Russell Sports Center. Ryan's going to be putting together these reports on a monthly basis for you this year to keep you updated on performance of our community recreation facility. Just a few highlights from the month of January. We had 646 total facility reservations across private tennis and pickleball reservations, city-run programs, ball machine rental, and other indoor sports such as soccer. We had 1,780 private player visits and 2,120 players checked in total. That includes participants in city leagues and programs. The facility brought in $24,060 of revenue, by far our highest total for the up to this point. That compares to our average expenses of around $17,000 a month. So I'm super excited and honored to say that for the first time in 13 months of operations, the James Russell Sports Center earned a profit. Now, what does that mean? It means that we are now contributing to the recreation fund at the city, as opposed to requiring a subsidy from the recreation fund. The Sports Center is our recreation facility. It does not impact general fund dollars, but the recreation fund, which is contributed to by a 4.5% property tax levy in Sandpoint, has gone towards supporting operations at the Sports Center while we've gotten it to this level of performance. Going forward, I forecast breaking even or earning profits in most months. So what that means for the Recreation Fund is that we now have the resources to start bringing back some limited recreation programming that was paused in the last year. I'm super excited to announce that that effort has begun. As of Sunday, we relaunched Open Gym Basketball at the Sandpoint Middle School. I dusted off my old Nikes and participated. First time I had played in 12 years. 28 participants that day. It was absolutely awesome energy, and people are super excited to come back. We aren't doing one on Super Bowl Sunday, and the following Sunday there's a volleyball tournament. But for the 6 Sundays after February 22nd, we'll be running Open Gym Basketball. Joel, I expect to see you there.
I gotta dust them off too.
So at our Parks Commission meeting next Wednesday, I'll be working with the Parks Commissioners to identify priority recreation programs to roll back out in the next year. So to that effort, we're also going to be hiring a recreation coordinator. I'm working with our HR team, Cheryl, right now on a job description, and super excited for that. That's all possible because of the great effort of Ryan Wells and his team over at the Sports Center. So Ryan, if you're watching at home, thank you. Great work. This last month has been phenomenal. The first 4 days of this month, the facility brought in $8,000 of revenue. So that just shows the level of participation. We've expanded hours on weekends. We're staying open till 9 o'clock this month to serve the lacrosse league. They want a place to practice, so they'll be using the facility from 7 to 9 p.m. a couple nights a week. Really exciting stuff going on. I think the bad ski season might be helping us, actually. I regret to say that, but it's true. I've got a planning update for you. Last night at the Planning Commission meeting, Bill Dean, our city planner, and myself presented our completely rewritten commercial and downtown core and outer core zoning updates. It's the first time that that red line version of our commercial code has been published. You can go see it now on the city's website. We spent 3 hours with the Planning Commission in this room last night going through our updated commercial and downtown core and outer core zoning language. Some pretty dramatic changes are being proposed, including to building heights, to the design standards downtown, to all sorts of things that are going to impact the future of development in downtown Sandpoint. Because big changes require big community outreach efforts, we are going to be engaging with downtown property owners. Just at 5 o'clock today, our utility billing clerk, Michelle, sent me a spreadsheet containing email addresses and mailing addresses for every property owner in the downtown core and outer core zones that are being proposed. So we'll be arranging a community engagement effort with them, probably at Marigold Bistro in the next few weeks, to present the code amendments, and that will probably be accompanied by a survey specifically for downtown property owners, since they're the ones whose property rights are going to be affected by the changes that are being proposed. So check out last night's P&Z meeting on YouTube if you want to get a preview of what's going to be coming to you probably in April or May. We do have a full agenda on future P&Z meetings, including some public hearings coming up. So it's not going to be every 2 weeks that we get to work on our code, but every week that we don't have a hearing to run at the P&Z meetings, we're going to be working on code to get it to you as soon as possible. One more update on projects I've been working on and some other team members here. We've spent the last couple months reviewing and interviewing companies that submitted proposals for implementing our parking management plan downtown, which you recall was approved by council last June. We have at this point selected a finalist, and Cheryl will be extending an offer of a contract in the next couple of weeks, and probably at the first meeting in March, we'll be presenting a contract to you for approval. And some of you are going to be hearing from me to, come in and introduce you to the parking management plan if you weren't part of that process last year. So Josh and Joe, they'll be sending you guys calendar invite. Final update, what's going on in Boise. We've been following legislation down in Boise very closely, specifically around STRs. We have our repeal and replace of our STR ordinance on the agenda tonight. I think I sent you all an email earlier today with the bill that's coming to the House Business Committee on Tuesday next week. It's very lengthy. Basically, it repeals or it supersedes cities' ability to regulate short-term rentals at all. And the one sentence in there that really stood out that I just want to read to you is, no county or city shall require a license, fee, permit, certification, or registration to operate an STR. So we do have some citizens who have volunteered to testify at that committee hearing on Tuesday at 12:30. We've had some citizens reach out and offer to coordinate letter writing efforts. On that committee sits Cornell Razor, our District 1 representative. So I encourage you all to, get in touch with myself if you want to be part of that effort. If you know anybody who is interested in testifying to defend cities' rights to regulate short-term rentals. If the legislation that's being proposed passes, we'll be forced to come back here in just a few months to repeal and replace tonight's updated code with something dramatically different. So that's all I have for you, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Director Welker. Any questions for Jason?
Yes.
Go ahead,
please.
Pam.
No fees yet have been decided on the parking.
The fees are in our adopted fee schedule. So they were decided last year, but we can, of course, amend the fee schedule if that's something council decides to do.
Because I was told
You,
we would
you will
still-
get a chance to
Thank
set
you.
those parking fees.
Just wanna
Pam.
make sure.
Absolutely. I promised you that.
I guess you did.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Any other director reports? Excellent. Next, we'll proceed with the general public comment portion of the meeting. If you wish to speak and haven't yet completed a sign-up form, please do so and hand it to staff at the back of the room. Purpose of the general comment time is to allow members of the public in attendance to address the mayor and council regarding items included on this evening's agenda under the consent calendar or old or new business. For the purpose of general public forum, you're also welcome to comment on any topic pertinent to the business of the city of Sandpoint not included on the agenda and not anticipated or scheduled for a future public hearing. Please note that council cannot take testimony on any planning or land use related matter outside of an official public hearing. This is important tonight because I know I've gotten a ton of emails from you. Thanks for reaching out and sharing your opinions. We really have to make sure that we keep tonight's discussion civil. We do have a policy on public meeting decorum. The rules are posted outside the chambers. In summary, please, everyone be pleasant and respectful, even if you share a differing position. Please do not make derogatory remarks or statements about others. If you can't express yourself without doing that, please reconsider speaking, because we just need to understand we all have different opinions and everyone deserves the right to be heard without being just scolded or treated disrespectfully. This also includes making statements against city staff. Please do not be disorderly or disruptive. No calling out, no clapping, no holding up signs, etc. Public comment time is for comment only, no questions or debate. You're welcome to contact me during regular business hours if you have any questions or concerns. This is going to be the only general public comment time that will be offered this evening. Those attending remotely who wish to speak may raise their hand on Zoom at this time. When it's your turn to speak, please state your name and whether you reside in Sandpoint city limits. For general public comments this evening, each speaker will have up to 2.5 minutes. If you agree with what someone else said, in the interest of time, just simply say, I agree. And with that, Madam Clerk, please call our first speaker.
We have Clay Hutchinson.
Good evening, Clay.
Hi, good evening. Clay Hutchins, City of Sandpoint resident. This is actually about our snow ordinance. Not related to anything going on here, but I was gone for a couple of weeks, returned to find a little flappy citation in my windshield, given to me on January 14th. I think I'd parked on the street for half an hour while I moved it out of my driveway for delivery, so it's standing on parking. But the reality, this law was passed to facilitate snow removal. It wasn't passed for any other reason. Obviously, we haven't had a lot of need for snow removal in the last couple of years. I would think, please put it on your agenda to kind of fix this law. It's got a rule without reality at this point. We all know if it's snowing, we got to help the, plowing and all that good stuff. But when there's no reason for plowing, there's no reason for this law. There's no reason to be enforcing it. I'll give you the $50, but let's do better than this. It's just ticking off people. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Clay.
Julie Perchinsky.
Good evening, Julie.
Good evening, Julie Perchinsky, city resident. Mayor and council, here we are again. Say no to 20 boat slips promised for 30 years. Calculating $1,000 a year for each slip, that's $600,000 lost revenue to city. Not even considering how much boat slip values will change, in other words, increase in the 30 years. 20 local residents would not be able to secure a boat slip for 30 years. Really, how many hotel guests need a boat slip? Sounds like a plan to convert to condos for big money to me. Won't build a hotel without a boat, slips included, that old threat. Blackmail didn't work at previous meetings, and here it is again. We don't like being threatened. Please don't swallow it. The promise to pay outstanding permit fees if agreement is reached. And I had to really think about that. Who says that? Like it's okay to not pay what is owed? And want to say and how money promised is used at City Beach? Why would City of Sandpoint partner with Averell for more of these threats and promises? In conclusion, despite what the Supreme Court has said, corporations are not people. Corporations don't negotiate with the benefit of the community in mind. Corporations only care about what benefits them. Council, stop negotiating with Averell to help improve City Beach. Follow your heart and do what is right for the people of Sandpoint who adore and cherish our beach. You know how we feel. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Nancy Hastings.
Good evening, Nancy.
I am a city resident for 30 years. The crown jewel of our free public enjoyment and access to our stunning Lake Pend Oreille is most certainly Sandpoint City Beach. Our park is now officially over 100 years old. It began in 1922 with an agreement from the railroad to deed the land to the city for the sole purpose of creating a public park. It became the crown jewel of Bonner County through hard work of volunteers and community and civic groups and city stewards like yourself that voted to improve it. Year after year, there was no big developer, there was no Carnegie grant that funded this gem, just 100 years of committed civic leaders to make it a bit better every year for everyone's enjoyment. I stand here once again asking you to vote no, to stand up to Averil's constant land grabs proposals and vote yes for RV grant and continued commitment to free and public access to our lake. In November, your constituents said no to Averil and yes for the RV development. In December, the public forum and in January's 900 survey responses overwhelmingly said yes to RV redevelopment and no to Averil. Averil knows this park is a jewel, and instead of working with our community, they just want to just take. Please consider the points that Averil knew their lot lines when they bought the Best Western in 2022. The 5 slips historically used by the Best Western was a formal lease that expired in 2017. That ship has sailed. We are now in 2026, boys. If you say yes to Averil, they can turn around and sublet those 25 marina slips for their current price that they do in Whitefish, on Whitefish Lake, for $10,000 a slip. This proposal has such deliberate and dangerously vague language on how the city can use those $950,000. Besides getting the 25 docks rent-free, if the city uses the money to build a new pavilion, this agreement states that Averil will be able to reserve that pavilion rent-free for hotel functions. And why not every day of the year?
Nancy, if you could wrap it up so we keep everything equal.
All right. Well, I just think that we need to keep the public lands and the public parks in public hands. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Chet Howell.
Good evening, Chet.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I've been around here, resident of Sandpoint, for about 81 years. Seen a lot of changes, mostly for the good. I used to sell papers down at Lake Shore Campground, where a lot of people came and tented. They had half a dozen or so cabins also with slab wood sidings. So, as you well know, and as what's been said by these 2 ladies prior to me, Lake Pend Oreille is our crown jewel. I don't want to see any boat slips given up to big corporations. And also, my primary purpose, in addition to that, is do not give up the RV park. I've been an RVer for 20 years, and it's become more prevalent each and every year. More people were retiring and have RVs that motorhomes, trailers, et cetera, and there's just not enough places in this vicinity. None other than the one down there at the city park, City Beach, no RV parks. So please don't relinquish those valuable pieces of property. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chet.
Mike Mahoney.
Evening.
Good evening, Mike.
I'm Mike Mahoney. I've been a resident of Sandpoint for over 50 years. 3 months ago, we were here because Averil Hospitality had suddenly discovered that an RV park next to their property did not meet their quote refined vision of lakefront development. Tonight, we're here because we now know it was never about a refined vision. It was about grabbing waterfront access and docks that belong to the citizens of Sandpoint. May also be this continued interest in leased or dedicated access to water. Nothing has been said about it, but certainly you need water access if you want to get a resort liquor license from the state of Idaho. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the next thing. But just as with the inadequate parking in their plans, the impact fees that they continue to drag their feet on, their failure to submit their plans and applications in a timely manner, we once again hear that if the city doesn't acquiesce to the current demands, then they won't build their resort. And it will all be the city's fault. That's just hogwash. Averill, an allegedly experienced developer, purchased this property with their eyes wide open. Every issue that they have claimed makes the development impossible is an issue that existed at the time they purchased it. It is important to remember that a successful, profitable hotel restaurant thrived on this exact location for decades. It's time for Averill to stick a shovel in the dirt and prove they are capable of building the same sort of facility. If you have the numbers, because I emailed them to each one of you, that do take into account inflationary increases for the boat slips, that do take into account expected increase in net operating income off of the RV park. And it shows that Averill is offering less than $2.5 million over 30 years for almost $5.5 million in concessions from the city. You have the workshop and the survey results. I ask you to vote with your constituents and move ahead with the RV park renovations and keep operating as it has been. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mike.
Jana Shields.
Good evening, Ms. Shields.
My name is Janice Shields. I've lived in Bonner County over 50 years and in Sandpoint for the last 4. I have been an active participant in the community since I moved here. It seems to me that the Averills say they want to be community members, but what they really want is to buy our community. Some people have spoken about the RV park so close to the railroad tracks and that it's noisy. I don't believe any of those people mentioned that they had actually stayed there. I have. The train is no louder there than at the beach or in town. This is because the tracks are above the RV land. Sound goes up. Of course, when we are anywhere near the tracks, we hear the clickety-clack. But from inside my motorhome, it was not distracting. The RV park is unique in the fact that it's close to a beach and downtown shopping. So wonderful for families. I don't know of any other urban RV park with these features. I would also like to address the survey conducted by the city. The results were overwhelming to keep the park and accept the Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation grant. I'm asking that the council honor the wishes of the residents and proceed with improvements of the park as indicated in the survey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dylan Armstrong.
Good evening, Dylan.
Good evening. I'm Dylan Armstrong, city resident, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself, but also my wife who's home with the kids tonight. So good evening. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to all of us tonight. I'm here to, like apparently everyone else, to speak in opposition to Averill's current proposal. My main concern is just about giving up control over city assets. Even if the city retains ownership of the RV park and marina, this proposal gives significant operational control to Averill. Specifically, my concerns are we already have community support and have secured a $950,000 grant for renovations to the RV park. As you know, the proposal replaces that with contributions from Averill, but in exchange, significant strings are attached. So the 20 boat slips for 30 years, that's like 70% of the public boat slips in that part of the marina. Rent-free use of any event space that they contribute to effectively gives them operational control over the facility. And they get input on where their funds go, which gives them a seat at the table in decisions about our public lands. So really, it's like giving up. One option is the grant to fund improvements to the RV park. The other is private money that gives up control of the RV park and marina. And I'm no master negotiator, but it seems like a pretty bad deal, in my opinion, for our city. So my ask is please please reject the proposal and keep the control of the RV park and marina in our control where it belongs. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Daniel.
Rob Harrison,
Basically, I agree with what's been said already.
Thanks for saving us 2.5 minutes, Rob.
Carrie Logan,
Good
Carrie
evening,
Logan.
Mayor.
Good evening, Mayor. Carrie Logan, City of Sandpoint resident. Trying a different thing, reading off my phone. I don't have my typical multi-page document to read from. But first of all, I agree with everything that's been said. You guys have heard in detail what my point of view is. So I'm going to be really brief. Your decision is to be made in the best interest of the community and with fiduciary responsibility as a guide. When evaluated that way, it is clear that you vote to accept the results of the survey, workshop, and Recreation Commission and move forward to request bids for design of RV park and city lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Iris Harrison,
Can I ask if the Russell Center is going to be decided on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should let everyone know that item 6 is going to be removed from the agenda because we need to do a notice of public hearing. It's probably going to be March 4th. So keep your eyes.
Then I agree with everything so far.
Sorry, everyone, for not updating you on that.
Jennifer Alderman Brown,
Good evening, Jennifer.
Jennifer Alderman Brown, city resident. So all of you have been elected to represent city residents. Please listen to them and do that. City property needs to remain with the city and never sold to the highest bidder. Despite good numbers for the facility at Traverse Park, which I didn't disagree with, the placement I did, I think Traverse Park was butchered. Please do not allow that to happen to any portion of the city beach. Even those new to the area don't want to see these types of proposed changes. They moved here for Sandpoint charm. Any visitor to town paying premium prices for boat slips or RV spaces will not care one iota about anything other than their own interests. I implore you to represent Sandpoint citizens and keep what's ours, ours.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Caleb Bellid,
Good evening, Caleb.
Good evening. My name is Caleb Mullen. I'm a city resident. I pretty much agree with everything that has been said so far. What I do have to add to it is I'm a longtime boat enthusiast and my boat is actually parked in that area. And a handshake deal with someone for me to be relocated down Sand Creek doesn't sound very good to me. It took me a long time to get my boat slip where it is right now. So as we get busier and busier with more tourists and whatnot coming to our area and taking our boat slips up, it's harder and harder to get those boat slips. So for me to be out of a boat slip when it took me so long to get a boat slip, I think is unfair to our community. And that's basically all I have to say.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you.
Jace Bordenave,
Good evening, Chase, was it?
Chase
Chase.
with a J. My name is Jace Bordenave, and I am a resident and business owner in Sandpoint. As I have already written a letter to this council detailing the financial nonsense of this matter, I will make a separate argument here. Thank you for your responses to my letter. I appreciate it. The last time I spoke in these chambers, I said that Avril would soon ask for marina space. Well, here we are. They keep coming to us in the 11th hour and demand that we give them something, or they will not build. First, it was the increase in development impact fees. Then they wouldn't build next to a trailer park. Their words, I remember. Now it's a marina space, or their project isn't feasible. It's not our responsibility or our obligation to facilitate their hotel build. They own the property, they bought it as is. Reduced fees, land swaps, conditions, why are we negotiating about these things? Would you make these concessions to a normal homeowner? End it now. We are done bargaining. Build the hotel or don't. We are not going to subsidize it or give away our property. If they want marina space, make a deal with Seasons or any other private marina. Don't ask for city space. Quite frankly, the people of Sandpoint are pissed. They have harassed us, made us show up to meeting after meeting, treated us like we're stupid and desperate. Well, we aren't. We live in one of the most beautiful towns in the country. Our beach is the crown jewel. We don't need them to make it that way. At this point, they are costing us money. They have outstanding permit fees. They have a vacant hotel space that any other developer would be happy to renovate and make money on. Crap or get off the pot. Build your hotel or don't. But at this point, I think the city needs to look at levying fines against them for leaving this space vacant and all the time that city staff and citizens have spent on these outlandish requests. Please vote to move forward with the RV park renovations and tell Avril to build or sell. No more deals.
Thank you, Jace.
Lorna Mitchell.
Good evening, Lorna.
Lorna Mitchell. I live in the city, so I'm a city resident. And I'm just the same as everybody else. I can't believe we're here again. I say go ahead with the RV park and do not be under the thumb of a big corporation. Thanks.
Thanks, Lorna.
Terry Pardini.
Hi, everybody. Terry Pardini, city resident. So if I'm reading this all correctly, Avril proposes to contribute $950,000 to fund the design and construction of an alternative use of the RV park site. But this is subject to negotiation of specific terms and conditions with them. This contribution, however, will replace our grant funding. Avril will potentially contribute another $50,000 annually to replace a portion of the revenue that we will lose from the RV park. So I'm not going to go into the boat slip rentals because I think that's been covered adequately, more than adequately, but they will get a lot more than their $50,000 back if we give them the 20 plus the 5 that they deem they should get because previous owners got it. So now I want to address the rent-free use of any community event space that might be built, as long as they schedule it in advance. So how about they say every year in June, July, August, we have it for the whole month, and maybe in December we have it. We'll just schedule it out now for 30 years. That meets their proposal. Yeah, okay. So they will make commitments to the park and beach improvement that would benefit their hotel. Eventually, they may do improvements to the docks at the Windbag. But if they do any of that, potentially use a portion of their $950,000 that, by the way, they gave us to replace the grant. But if they do any improvements, they're going to take the money out of that toward any improvements that they deem they want to do to the beach anyway. Okay, so I think you get it. It doesn't take a genius to see that this proposal clearly benefits Avril hugely and does nothing to the city except tie us into a very questionable partnership with a corporation whose interests are only for themselves. It's not for our town. I hope you've all done your homework and have spoken to residents at Whitefish, because they have the true story of what's happened to their town since this business company.
If you could,
Oh, I have, okay, I've gone over. Okay, so I'm going to say something quick about the STRs. You know, I just think unrestricted units, the number of them in our town will decimate the integrity of our neighborhoods and ruin our small town. And I urge you to vote no against their proposal and listen to the city residents. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry, I went over 28 seconds.
Justin Dick,
Good evening.
Good evening,
Mayor,
Justin.
Council, thank you guys. It's great to see so many of the community that have come out. And I appreciate the opportunity. I also want to say thank you to Jason. You did an excellent job at putting together a very neutral staff report. But I think the feeling in the community is that you have a very binary choice in front of you tonight. You either accept the RV park or you accept the Averill deal. And I'm here to present a third option that might not have been talked about as much. And that's to turn the current RV park into parking and more access specific to the locals. We could turn that into a parking lot today using existing funds that already are there. That's the $400,000 worth of parking in lieu of money that the city staff and the Averills negotiated for the reduction of parking at the Edgewater site today. I think since my time at Trinity at 2009 and my 4 years on council, I've heard from hundreds, if not thousands of locals complain about the lack of parking or access to the Pondere Bay Trail, Seasons, Windbag Marina, the Edgewater, employee parking, and general beach parking. As I went through the workshop notes, some of the key workshop takeaways were emphasis on City Beach as a shared civic space that could be open, welcoming, and clearly for the community. Support for flexible multi-use concepts. A parking lot can still be a gathering space down there, especially now that we have the nonprofits that are able to use the City Beach for one event per month in a more year-round basis. You can add picnic tables, you can add shade structures as well. The whole thing does not have to be parking, but it can add parking to City Beach. There were concerns about exclusivity and privatization of that area. It doesn't get any more exclusive than an RV park, and giving prime real estate to tourists at our crown jewel during its peak season that locals use it. As you moved on through the staff report, the existing funding commitments, like I've said, there's $400,000 that already exists that you could pave over that right now. The revenue that we get from the RV park, it generates $80,000 a year. That's because it's dilapidated and requires very little to any maintenance whatsoever. As soon as you take this money and you build this thing out, just a quick 2026 numbers on operational costs on new RV parks of $40,000 to $50,000 per year. That does not include payroll, guest utilities, insurance and compliance, marketing, maintenance, and snow removal. Okay. How much are we already doing of that right now at City Beach? When was the last time it was paved? The concrete was replaced, the asphalt path was replaced, if not. I'll cut this short. If I can just 2 more seconds.
Go ahead and wrap it up.
Please add it to your parking management plan. You can offset the $80,000 worth of revenue in parking specific for locals, what they ask for. I consider you to table this item tonight and think about using this space for better access for the locals in Sandpoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Dakota Blaze,
I missed the name. Good evening. Dakota. Hi, Dakota.
Hi, guys. Dakota Blasey, Sandpoint citizen, born and raised. Tonight, I speak on behalf of the Sandpoint Sailing Association in regards to the proposal brought forth by Averill Hospitality. Last April, the SSA and its members were approached by Ben McGrant, a representative of Averill Hospitality, in regards to the Averill's desired at least long-term 25 slips. These slips included the east side dock of the 100 dock in the Windbag Marina and the remainder of the slips in the City Beach Marina. At the time, we were told the reason for the inquisition for these slips was to be able to offer boat rentals to potential patrons of the future hotel. The meeting was well attended by SSA club members and slip holders to assess whether such a proposal would be supported. Following the meeting, the SSA board convened and unanimously voted to categorically reject the support of the acquisition of the slips, a stance the SSA still maintains to this day. It has always been Sandpoint Sailing's position that slips and surrounding public dock space remain just that, public, available to any and all who'd so desire to rent from the city for seasonal moorage. From its founding, the mission of the club has been to promote and protect public access to the water, as well as provide avenues for those who wish to participate and learn more about the wonderful sport of sailing. We're here now to implore the council to vote no on the given proposal and ensure the future protection of public access to this water we so dearly love and are fortunate enough to call home.
Thanks, Dakota.
Aaron Riceboro.
Good evening, Aaron.
Good evening. It is Aaron, not Karen. Couple of things. Agree with everyone. So very well said. It was either Chase or Chase. Jace. Also think Justin Dick makes a good point, but the fact of the matter is I came here with a question, and that is who is still giving Averill a seat at the table and bringing these proposals to council? I love being an active member of this community. I am sick of having to open my email and read that once again, this is an issue that we are having to be frustrated by. So I stand with all of the other citizens who have already spoken about this and in support of their position, but I'm curious, at what point do we stop allowing a private interest to have a seat at our city council table? Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Ashley Thompson.
Good evening, Ashley.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Thompson. I'm a local resident and I'm also a business owner in town. I concur 100% with what was previously said right before me. Averill came to town. They did not buy waterfront property. They did not buy a marina. They did not buy an RV park. They did not buy our public space. They bought an existing resort that was run by the Cox family for many years successfully. And I agree. Why are we still giving them a seat at the table? Why are we allowing them to blackmail us to say, if you give us these things, then we'll pay the fees that we already owe? I think we just have to take a step back and acknowledge that they made the choice to buy the hotel. They made the choice to go down this path. And it's not appropriate for them then to blackmail the city and put us in a corner to give up our public properties to make their project successful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ashley.
John Hastings.
Good evening, John.
Good evening. John Hastings, Sandpoint resident and a business owner just outside those city limits. But I wanted to provide a little historical context to this too. And I was chairman of the Planning and Zoning when this original proposal was approved. It was approved unanimously. We had a pretty packed house that day, and everybody except one person spoke in favor of this, and the person who did not speak in favor of it was neutral. There was nobody opposed to their original proposal. But Averill has become a bad actor, and those things have changed and changed. Some of them have come about because of votes, some because of administrative approval, well within their rights. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. It was well within their rights. But at some point right now, and it's been said over and over, so I don't need to say it, but we have elected people now. This decision is before elected people, and the people who elected you are overwhelmingly opposed to doing away with the RV park, not necessarily just because it's the RV park, but because of the potential uses that might be there. So a lot of what's been said, I certainly agree with. The other concept that I like about proceeding the vote today is to be on the RV park. The other concept that I think is worth pointing out to that is the notion of having people of modest means being able to enjoy staying on the waterfront in Sandpoint is a wonderful concept, something that we should all embrace, because without that, it will become a playground for those of well above modest means, and it'll become more restrictive to those of us who live here and enjoy it. It is such a wonderful spot. So thank you.
Thanks, John.
Taylor Long.
Good evening.
Good evening, Taylor.
Give me just one sec. Gotta get my glasses on.
Give you a couple extra seconds.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So my name is Taylor Long. I am the chair of the Sandpoint Parks and Rec Commission, as well as the president of the Sandpoint Sailing Club. I am not addressing you as a representative of either of those entities this evening. What I would like to say to you is that Director Welker's November 5th City Council meeting report indicated that the Cox family lease expired December 31st, 2017 on the 5 slips in the Windbag Marina. Now, in Avril's proposal for the RV park and all of these slips, they included that in there. I find that interesting. I think that this is all a bunch of smoke and mirrors, and that's their real goal. They want for their clientele to be able to step out of their resort and right into the marina there. I think that they will get, regardless of what you decide tonight, they will find slips and it will be a runway of traffic into the Windbag Marina. So I would implore you council members to question Mr. Welker about, are the slips, those 5 slips, currently in the public pool? There is a giant waiting list for people who want slips, public who want slips in Windbag Marina. So ask about that. Find out what's going on with those 5 slips. Those are important. Like, there's a wait list. And barring any action from city council, will those slips remain in the public pool if they are currently? Thank you.
Thanks so much, Taylor. Thanks for your service, by the way, on the Parks and Rec Commission.
Paul Vogel,
Good evening, Mr. Vogel.
Council, thank you. You've read my letter, and I agree with almost everything everyone has said. I've seen a lot of analysis of the recent Avril proposal, none of which seemed to be a good deal, all of which seemed to be significantly less than what they offered previously. I appreciate the inquiry, who keeps giving them a seat at the table. And so I just want to address a few areas where I think they have overreached. And I think it's important for the council and the city to realize that perhaps it's a business model of any developer to overreach to try to get as good a deal as they can. But there's some inflection points and some bridges you don't cross. You want to draw a line in the sand. So first, they wanted to help write the staff report on their proposal. And that was dead on arrival, but I've done planning and zoning work off and on for 40, 45 years here, read a lot of staff reports, city and county. I've never seen that request before. That was way out of line. The most recent suggestion requests demand that the in lieu of parking fees that they are paying, that they get to in some manner direct or inform how those fees are spent. Maybe there's something in the city ordinance that grants them that right. I'm unaware of it, but that's, again, it's overstepping. The impact fee extension, delayed until January 1st to have the increase. They sat here and told you that they needed a year to apply for a building permit. And then when they were given 2 months or so, they got it in to save the money. My position, the city's already gifted them $1 million by reducing their impact fees. They don't need to be gifted any more money. Finally, I guess it's their prior letter of contrition before the last hearing where they apologized for it. And yet here we are again. They are as tone deaf and arrogant with these requests, these demands as they have ever been. So I think it's important that the city, in your informal communications with individuals making inquiries about development, that you be really firm and you draw a line. Your time is valuable, our time is valuable. None of us want to keep coming back here on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vogel.
Rob Behrens,
What was the name again?
Rob Behrens,
Rob Behrens. Going once, going twice. All right, let's move on.
Paul Risen,
Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm opposed to the RV park, and I'm opposed to the RV park because I think there's much better ways we can use that land for the public. I think it's disingenuous for the public now to say they really want the RV park when they never wanted it before. And it's not really going to bring in the revenue that the city needs. I think we need more parking. We need better opportunities down there. Something besides an RV park, because that's not what city residents are going to use. That's not what Bonner County residents are going to use, because we live here and we can all go to the city park and enjoy it by driving our cars there. No one's staying overnight. In fact, it's probably legal to stay overnight if you're not in an RV. One of the big things I want to talk about is I understand that everyone is against the Avrils right now. I understand the missteps. I understand everyone's concerns. But as a business owner in Sandpoint, as a building owner in Sandpoint, I am scared about our future. We are in our worst snow year in a long time. It's the second really, really bad snow year in the past 3 years. And how are we going to survive in downtown Sandpoint without something like this resort? I'm not saying bend over backwards for the Avrils, but like, we have to make this resort happen in some way. Negotiate the best deals you possibly can. That's what negotiation is all about. You know, do what you can, get the best deals out of the Avril. Don't give up public land. Lease it. Don't lease it. Do what you got to do. But at some point, we got to find some happy medium, because right now, the shoulder season is miserable. Right now, winter is miserable, and business owners are suffering big time. And if we get another bad winter like this, you're not going to be able to go enjoy your restaurants, enjoy your shops in downtown Sandpoint. They'll be gone. Those are small business owners that rely on tourism. And we need that. With a 300-person meeting room that's proposed in that resort, I get excited about the fact that a lot of people will be coming to Sandpoint, spending their money here, and then leaving. We get to enjoy the city taxes. We get to enjoy all the money that comes into the business owners. Like, why don't we want that? Do we think about these things? Like, I understand big bad developer, you can hate them all you want, but we do need something there. It has to be something soon, and it's not going to happen overnight. So work with the Avrils, make something happen, or let it go.
Thanks so much, Paul.
Mayor Graham, no one else has signed up at this time.
Right. Thanks, everyone, for your comments and for being respectful. That'll close the public
It was not a public hearing.
comment period.
Thank you, sorry.
You're fine, yeah. Moving on, next is the consent calendar. For the record, the total amount of bills for the approval is $2,655,443.82, reflecting $1,544,025.97 for regular payables and $1,110,825.65 million for payroll. Council, do you have any questions, or are there any items you wish to remove consent?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Joel.
would this be the appropriate time to talk about moving number 5 to before the public hearing, since a lot of people here are here for that particularly? Or would that, should I?
You know what, let's do consent and then
Perfect.
make a motion to do that. I'm fine with that. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Deb, second by Joel. This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Duquette,
Yes.
Counselor Tate,
Yes.
Counselor Torres,
Yes.
Counselor Rule,
Yes.
Counselor Spiro,
Yes.
Counselor Schreiber.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, motion passes.
Thank you. I heard a desire by Joel to move number 5 next on the agenda. Any objection
With an
to,
added 2 to 3 minute recess.
with a 2 to 3 minute recess? Any objection to that? All right, we will reorder the agenda. After this 3 minute recess, we will start with item 5 and then come back to item 3. Meeting recess at 6:30. City Council meeting is now reconvened at 6:36 PM. Moving on to item 5, old business. We'll hear staff seeking council direction regarding City Beach RV Park site, followed by the Parks and Rec Commission's recommendation made January 14th. Just to preface everyone, may have been my mistake. I did have a communication with Ben and Mr. Averill today, and I said, they asked if they would have time to speak. I'd give them a brief moment to present. I'm going to give them 3 minutes. Please stay in order. And
Mr. Mayor,
order, please. Order, please. Order, please. I don't want to, come on, let's just keep this civil,
Mr.
folks.
Mayor, may I just say something,
Madam-
please?
Madam Pam, just please let me finish my statement. Like any business, I think we should let any business come at least pitch if there's a better idea and thought. I'm certainly open to it. But I think we've heard a lot from the public. Appreciate that. And with that, Jason, do you want to kick this off?
Mr. Mayor, may
Go
I?
ahead, Pam.
I object to the Averills and Ben being able to make a presentation. They've written their requests. They've shared their requests. They should have spoken, in my opinion, at 3 minutes when the rest of the public was allowed to. This is not a public hearing.
I appreciate that, Pam, and probably my mistake. I take apologies. I was thinking this through today. How do you let everyone speak? So I'm going to give them, sir, I appreciate it. Please, this is not a time for debate. Anyways, Jason, can you please proceed?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Deb.
I also object. Thank you. 3 minutes.
Please, folks, come on, we can get through this without being disruptive.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Joe.
could you show me on this list where this is?
Not.
Public, please, we're going to have to take a recess if we can't run this meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Tate.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask you a question, please?
I was just gonna
Okay.
respond to Joel.
Sorry.
First.
Sorry.
Joe, so it's under 5, and that's the order of business. It's this presentation. So as the presiding officer, you have the liberty to preside. So go ahead, Joe.
Was Averill under the impression that they were going to get this time, which why they did not sign up?
Correct,
for
correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
So again, I take responsibility, folks. I'm sorry. Just trying to manage this. I think we can all listen to both sides and give everyone fair opportunity here.
Mr. Mayor, we have listened
Legal?
to both sides.
Legal, excuse me, legal? Thank you.
This agenda is the agenda that's been posted since last week. The agendized item says City Beach RV Park Site Survey Results, Community Workshop Summary, and Commission Recommendation. It does not say Averill request. There's nothing on the agenda that indicates that Averill's making a request. So I'm concerned that allowing a presentation on something that's not agendized is going to be problematic for the city.
Fonda, legal. In order to provide the Averills with 2.5 minutes, should we go back to the public comment?
If you would like to go back and reopen public comment, and you can provide them 2.5 minutes during the public comment period, and then also open it up to anybody who hasn't already spoken that may also wish to provide public comment, you can do that.
Okay, thank you. Council, would you all agree that everyone has the right to speak? And it was my error by thinking that the Averills could speak before this item. Would anyone object to reopening public comment so the Averills can have their 2.5 minutes?
Everybody has the chance to have a 2.5 minute public comment.
Okay, so do I need a motion to reopen the public hearing, or can I simply reopen it? Comment, yes.
No, you don't need a motion to reopen
Okay.
public.
I'd like to reopen the public comment period to give the Averils property owners in the city the opportunity to speak. And then, of course, anyone who hasn't spoken, of course, we can continue that. With that, public comment period's open. Ben or Mr. Averill?
Well, thank you for your time tonight, everyone. I appreciate it. We were asked to come forth with
Could you speak into the mic?
come forth with a proposal, an idea, an agenda, which we did. I was hoping to walk through this presentation with you tonight. I think our goal is honestly to be a good steward in the community, and I wanted to try to demonstrate that through our actions in our presentation tonight. I'm happy to try to get through any or all of it if possible, but I don't think in the less than 2 minutes that I have it'll be successful.
Audience, you guys gotta.
Thanks, Chief.
So I think thanks for your time. I did give a letter that kind of outlined and clarified what our intentions were. We were simply trying to provide an alternative funding source so the community could make a decision, not based on a financial grant that was awarded for an RV park, but what might serve the community best. And I think by providing that funds, it would show the community, you would be able to create that debate about what's truly best. We had a slide, and I think the survey results had a slide, which Ben, if you might pull it up, I can show everyone. Yeah, just that slide right there.
I can't share my screen.
Mr. Mayor, I give a few extra seconds.
Sure.
Well, thank you. This graph came out of the community survey results. As it shows, the blue line is votes in favor for the RV park. Then the next 5 lines, community event space, space for playground, food trucks, summer sports, paid parking. If you look at the summation of all those, they're far greater than the votes for the RV park. The Parks and Rec Commission obviously made a recommendation, as you guys know, to approve the RV park, which is right. They didn't have an option for alternative funding sources.
Time has expired. Okay.
Yeah.
Ben, can you wrap up, Mr. Averill?
Yep, certainly. Again, our idea was to just give the city an alternative to see if something would work better for them. And in that letter that you guys all have, it addresses the boat slips, and it addresses that we are not looking to take or replace any boat slips away from the community. So I think just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Mr. Averill. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ben, and appreciate your flexibility with the order of business. Are there others who have signed up to speak, Madam Clerk?
We do have others, and we also have Zoom participants that have their hands raised. Okay. First, we have Ellen Weissman.
Can we throw the timer back up? Good evening, Ellen.
Hi. I've been here over 30 years, and I've watched this town get very, I don't even know what the word is. It's not what it was, that's for sure. And my comments are short, but I just wanted to throw in a little perspective that hasn't been addressed yet, I think. When Justin first told me that the restaurant was going to close, I literally cried. I can still see my parents sitting at the corner table, and they've been gone a while now. I wonder what will happen to the beautiful stained glass in there. I watched friends get married there. I've spent many, many wonderful moments at that restaurant. Also stayed at the hotel, and I know it needs improvements, and I accepted that it needed to be upgraded, and that wasn't going to happen with Justin. Anyway, City Beach is one of the main reasons I moved here. I couldn't imagine a town next to a lake. Had never seen that before. I can't afford to own a boat or waterfront property, but I can afford to go to the beach and feel like I'm super wealthy. Averill has not been a good player in this whole endeavor. Confusion, like we just had, is an example of the other confusions that have been caused. Please listen to your constituents and use wisdom in your decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ellen.
Dwayne Ward.
Good evening, Dwayne.
Thank you for listening to your constituents, and thank you for running city government a lot better than our state government and national government. I applaud you in that endeavor. I've been in Sandpoint since 1956. I've listened to all the rhetoric and everything to do with the RV park. I'm a little bit remiss on understanding why we never talked about this issue of improving the RV park or selling it until Averill Hospitality bought the motel and the area there. You represent the residents of this city, of this area. This property belongs to them. And it is your responsibility to not take it from them, not sell it, not lease it, not make any deals with it, because it is their property. And of course, I realize it's not the city council's. So to me, this is more of a moral issue than it is of money. I don't blame Averill Hospitality. They're business people. They want to make money. They want to get the best deal they can, but not at the expense of the residents of this area. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wayne.
Carson Rassicot.
Hello, council.
Evening, Carson.
I just want to reiterate that it just feels like rules for thee and not for me. And it was pretty telling that they had a little special presentation planned for something that was, oh, my mistake, and I didn't know anything about this. Okay, well, I guess we'll take that. But with this, come strong, then apologize, then come back and reiterate their strong arm again to then apologize. This back and forth tactic is as old as time. And I'll tell you what, you don't want to jump into bed with people like that. And all you have to do is do a simple Google search and go look at some of their past litigations with city councils and how they strong armed with the money they had to basically push councils and their legal out of the way because they had more money, more time, and they could do it in any podunk town they wanted. So I'd just like to leave it at that and strongly consider who you're dealing with for the next 30 years, because it could open you up to a lot of litigation you're not even thinking about.
Thank you, Carson.
Gordon Billman.
Good evening, Gordon.
Gordon Billman is Sandpoint resident. I just want to make the point that once this is over, it's over. There's no going back. If you make this decision and give it to him, we're all out. And that may cost people their jobs in your positions there.
Thank you so much, Gordon.
Mr. Mayor, brief recess for technical.
We'll take a 1-minute recess to work on some technicalities. Meeting is reconvened at 6:53 to address technical challenges. All right, are there some folks on Zoom who would like to make some public comment?
Tish Litvin.
Tish, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead, Tish.
Great. Hey, yeah, I just wanted to just make a comment and yeah, a couple comments actually, but really disappointed on what just transpired at the meeting in that public screen was allowed during public comments. I thought that that was not allowed, nor were handouts. So that was a little disappointing to see that the Averils were able to share their computer screen. And I'm not sure that others would have been able to do that during a public comment period. And then secondly, of course, I really hope that City Council tonight, doesn't cave into the requests, which feel more like demands made by these out-of-state developers or, any developers for that matter. We have some great amenities in our town of Sandpoint, and they should most definitely be enjoyed, by tourists that come and visit our area. But the utilization of those amenities, such as those boat slips that the city owns, they should not be left. They should be left for locals, and they should not be given to resort guests or condo owners for use. So tonight, when the council needs to make a decision on how to proceed, I certainly hope that they give this vote serious consideration and keep in mind that, the city of Sandpoint is really, really meant to be enjoyed mostly by the city residents because we're here year round and we're not just locals or not just tourists passing through. So council members, please be, use your best conscience tonight when it comes time to make that vote. And thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Tish.
We have Kelly Zapp.
Kelly, can you hear us?
My comment is basically these people came in and bought a piece of property in town. It was what it was. And they're trying to make it into something that the property really doesn't allow. And in order to make their profit margin be correct, because they're business people, they're sitting there and saying, we want this and we want this and we want this. Well, if I buy something in town and I say, this is what I have, this is what I have. So they take it or they leave it, and the city council needs to just say, you got what you got. If you don't like it, sell it back.
Thanks, Kelly.
Mr. Mayor, no one else has signed up at this time.
All right, now we will close the public comment period for the second time and proceed back to item number 5. Thanks, everyone, for the process there. Again, glad everyone could voice their opinion. And back to Director Welker. Jason, you're now seeking direction from the council on where we go with this. Anything to add or questions you need or questions for council? Why don't you start, Jason?
Sure. I don't have any presentation for you tonight. We've been through this many times with the history of the RV park site, the past ownership of the hotel site. The November 5th presentation, I think, was included in your packet tonight. I will just put these council actions up on the board, up on the screen for you. The Parks and Rec Commission did make a recommendation to proceed with RV park renovation using the IDPR RV fund grant while remaining open to alternative uses in the future should funding opportunities become available. Just as a reminder, accepting the RV park grant and moving forward with that project does commit us to, according to the grant agreement, 25 years of utilizing that location as an RV park if we did change use within 25 years. the state could ask us to reimburse the $950,000 we have. There was a question that I will provide an answer to if you're so interested around the slips in my preparation for the November 5th meeting. I did find the former lease agreement with the Cox family dating from 2007 through 2017. For the 5 boat slips at the 100 dock of the Windbag Marina. There is not a current lease agreement, and the Everills have been informed that in order to continue use of those 5 slips, a lease agreement would have to be approved by this body. There has not been a separate request for that at this time, but as you saw in the letter or in the updated proposal, those 5 slips were bundled in the request associated with the $950,000 funding offer. So that's kind of where we stand.
Jason, just clarification on that point. We do not lease to commercial entities. Is that correct?
We do have a marina use policy that applies to the City Beach and Windbag marinas that prohibits commercial use. The one exception that I should say, except in the cases where use agreements or contracts are in place. For example, Lake Ponderay Cruises is obviously a commercial operation that operates out of City Beach Marina. The Sandpoint Sailing Association is not exactly commercial. It's a nonprofit, but they do have 3 or 4 slips at the 100 dock that they share with the Everills, and they are under a memorandum of understanding that will be coming to you actually very shortly, because Cheryl is working with SSA and myself to update their MOU, which is renewed annually right now. So other groups that do commercial or quasi-commercial operations out of our marinas are required to have use agreements or lease agreements. There has not been one for the hotel since 2017, so it is time to implement one if that relationship is to continue. Just a little background on where we were in November when council directed staff to pause the RV park renovation effort and engage in community outreach and engagement around alternative uses for the RV park site. We had an RFP, a request for proposals, that had actually nearly closed by the end of October. We had 6 interested engineering firms participate in that RFP. This was for design and engineering documents related to RV park renovation and a resurfacing and improvements to the City Beach parking lot, anticipating that there would be parking in lieu of funds to help implement a parking lot improvement to the greater City Beach parking lot in the near future. Should you decide tonight to move forward with the RV park renovation, we did close that RFP without offering a contract to one of the 6 firms. I would work with Cheryl, our contracts administrator at the city, and we would reopen that RFP and move forward with solicitation of proposals to hopefully engage in design and engineering for an RV park renovation using the $950,000 from the RV fund with $50,000 of parks capital improvement funds, in the hopes that we could begin that work this fall to reopen a renovated $1 million RV park next spring, for the next camping season. So I will answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, interested to hear your direction.
Questions for Jason?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Your floor is yours.
I would make a motion to accept the Parks and Rec Commission recommendation, along with the survey results from our public, the comments we have heard, and direct staff to proceed with renovation of the City Beach RV Park, utilizing the currently secured funding before we lose it.
There's a motion. Second by Kyle, motion by Pam. Any discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Did you have some discussion, Joe? You can speak. You can speak before you vote as well if you want. But
Yeah, so what we're voting on, and once we vote, it's done.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
So I'd like to talk.
You like a little discussion?
Yeah, a little discussion. Yeah.
Go ahead and discuss.
So first of all, apologies for the miss up with the public comment thing. I think that was just a little uncomfortable situation that we all had to endure, and I hope we can clean that up in the future. So I want to begin with acknowledging the Averill hospitality and expressing my sincere hope for a long, healthy relationship. One that's grounded in good communication, mutual respect, and integrity. Strong public-private relationships are very important, especially when they are built on trust, clarity, and honoring original commitments. So in this case, The original agreement established expectations around feasibility, scope, and the city's continued control of its assets. Those terms matter, and maintaining integrity means staying anchored into what was originally agreed upon. I also want to acknowledge the magnitude of the community and the involvement. The participation matters, and it makes me really proud to be like a resident in a hometown Sandpoint. So, as a council member, my responsibility is not only to today's decision and to leave the city in the strongest possible position for the future council and future residents. So, for those reasons, you'll figure out what I'm going to vote. This vote is not going to be necessarily rejection of collaboration, and I want to remain open to future proposals that respect established boundaries and preserve city assets.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the Parks and Rec Commission for going over this and holding a workshop. I want to thank all the public for being involved. This is possibly the most public engagement that we've had since I've been on council. And yeah, I think the voice of the public is pretty clear.
Thanks, Kyle. Any other council discussion? This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Schreiber?
Yes.
Counselor Tate?
Yes.
Counselor Rule?
I just like to thank the public. It always helps to hear what you guys have to say. Yes.
Counselor Duquette?
I too appreciate the public comment and sticking with us through this whole ordeal. Yes.
Counselor Spiro?
Yes.
Counselor Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving back to item 3, which was public hearing. Next, we'll move on to the sole public hearing on our agenda this evening for the purpose of taking public testimony as council considers a resolution formally establishing the City of Sandpoint's Commercial Property Assessed Capital Expenditure, CPACE program. Yeah, we'll take a 1-minute recess for folks to clear the room if they. You should really stay though. There's a lot more going on. So.
More fun to be had.
Reconvening 7:07 p.m. Item number 3. Moving on to our sole public hearing. As council considers a resolution formally establishing the City of Sandpoint's Commercial Property Assessed Capital Expenditure CPACE program and program guidebook. Planning and Community Development Director Jason Welker will present.
Thank you, Mayor. No new presentation for you tonight. This was December 16th or 17th, I believe, agenda item. I did, as did you, I received a letter from a community member in support of this. I thought that was just a perfect case study, an example of how a local property owner stands to benefit from this commercial property assessed program that allows for green energy, renewable energy, sustainability related investments in commercial properties in Sandpoint to take advantage of some favorable financing that it might not be available otherwise. So tonight we're going to hold the required public hearing. This is just for the $500 application fee to be added to the fee schedule and to formally adopt by resolution the financing program that you approved a month or so ago. So I'll answer any questions if you have them. Otherwise, we can open the public hearing.
Any questions for Director Welker at this time?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Thanks, Jason.
Oh, and if you don't mind, Councilman Schreiber, thanks to Haley, we did find a couple typos in the guidebook, including a misspelling of Fonda's name. So apologies to Fonda. That has already been corrected. So we will be updating the guidebook accordingly before it gets published on our website.
I'm curious how else you would spell it. Yeah, so I was curious if you are familiar with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's report on the residential PACE program from May of 2023.
No, I'm not.
I did want a couple of their findings to be part of the record. And so they found that PACE loans increase property tax payments by an average of 88%. They found that PACE loans typically have a higher interest rate than conventional loans. Borrowers typically already had access to conventional loans. Data shows that there's some evidence of problematic sales practices for PACE loans, and that PACE loan recipients have a 35% increase in mortgage delinquency. One of the items that was of concern in terms of problematic sales practices were deceptive lender fees, program application administrative fees, project development and engineering fees, which I see are all in our guidebook. So that concerns me. Do we have any way to prevent excessive or predatory fees?
We do not. We are literally, our only role here is to accept an application and do a completeness check on the application. The entire program is administrated by the lending agency. It just needs that, but per state law, it requires a municipality to adopt an ordinance allowing private borrowers to leverage this financing tool. That's all we're doing, is authorizing the ability of the private sector to engage in this program. We're not playing middleman. We're not collecting assessments and transmitting them to the lender. It's just an opportunity for us to open up this financing style tool to local property owners. But we don't get involved in the transactions whatsoever.
Got it. Thank you.
Beyond accepting the application.
Kyle, just a follow-up, that was the residential program, right?
That's what I was.
That's correct, yes.
Ours is commercial.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
those, I read through the report, and those problems could logically translate to commercial properties as well. Since a PACE loan is senior to all other loans, this could affect the sale price or attractiveness of a property if someone were to go to sell it. And so that could actually contribute to blight in our downtown if a commercial property was encumbered in this way and couldn't be sold, because it's not something that automatically is resolved at time of closing like a typical conventional loan. I noticed that this program also covers multifamily residential. So I guess my question there is it likely that the higher tax payments would be passed on to tenants via higher rent?
In terms of the additional assessment added to the property,
Yeah.
I think most borrowers who would take advantage of this are probably doing so because it would lower their overall monthly payment of repayment of any financing that they've done. The alternative being traditional lending, which would come with a higher interest rate. So, of course, assessments on the property will be passed on to tenants in the case of residential, but so would mortgage payments for any lending that was procured to build the project in the first place. So if the difference is that the borrower's payment is lower, then that would mean a lower pass on to the eventual renter, I would presume.
And Kyle, just to follow up on that, I think one of the main advantages of this is that typical commercial financing is going to be a very short duration, 5 years maybe, and then you refi. And what I understood this program to do is it allows the property owner to decouple some of the green improvements to a 30-year amortization, and it basically lets them reduce the loan for that short duration that gets flipped every few years. Just a point that I.
Got it. And that actually leads into my next question. So do we require, or will there be an insurance policy required to cover the balance of the loan in the event that the building is destroyed or that the improvements?
That would be up to the lender.
Okay.
We would not be involved in that.
So in a case where like a building burns down, the owner would still have this tax lien that they would have to pay on without having that building anymore? Is that accurate?
I think presumably they'd have insurance
Right.
that would cover their outstanding.
I feel like there's at least one, if not more than one property that wasn't the case that in Sandpoint right now.
Could be.
Again, the property owner and their lender, the city would have no say in that.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just wondering how this is going to affect our city in terms of potential blight. And is there any way for us to change the fee if it turns out that staff time and the real cost to the city are higher than we expected?
Idaho statute establishes a $500 permit acceptance fee and a 1% administration fee. So the amount financed up to $50,000 can be recouped by the city as well. So those are established in state statute.
Okay, so it's set by state statute. If it turns out that this is much more cumbersome than we expect, or the real costs of the city are higher, we cannot raise the fee.
Correct.
Got it. I think that's all the question I have. Thanks.
Questions for Jason?
I do.
Pam, you're recognized.
Kind of along with Kyle's, I also researched pros and cons. I tried to find anything that would make it seem like that it would be bad for Sandpoint. I know that Idaho only passed this allowance in 2024, and Coeur d'Alene, Boise, Post Falls, and Rexburg have done it, but in 2025, so there's really no way to find out if there's been impact like that, because that would be not good. If it ends up being not in the best interest of our commercial people, is there a way out at all? Or is it something that we commit to allowing? I mean, I am all for green infrastructure, and if that's what this money is for, I'm all in. But if it turns out to be problematic for the city or the businesses that are trying to build, can we discontinue the?
I believe we could repeal the ordinance.
Correct.
Absolutely.
It's a resolution, but yeah.
Resolution.
think so.
Apologies.
Any other questions for Jason? All right, hearing none, we will now proceed with the public hearing. For the record, any written comments received were included in the meeting packet, otherwise provided the council have received in time to do so. If you wish to testify this evening, please complete a sign-up form and hand it to staff at the back table. Because this is not a land use or otherwise quasi-judicial hearing, those attending remotely may testify. If you're on Zoom and you wish to speak, please raise your hand at this time. Those testifying will have up to 3 minutes to speak. City policy provides the presiding officer may allow gifted time during public hearing, or you may give your time to someone else. I will allow gifted time for this hearing. Please note that the person giving time may do so only once, and the person receiving time may only receive one gift for a total of up to 6 minutes. For the person receiving gifted time, if you're given time, please state as much when you begin speaking, and state the name of the person who donated their time. Please note that both parties must be present in the chambers. Otherwise, each speaker will have up to 3 minutes. The rules of civility and decorum, as recited earlier, are now in effect. The public hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, has anyone signed up to testify? Any hands raised on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, are there any members of the public who haven't testified who wish to do so? It's the last opportunity. All right, the public hearing is now closed. We'll now move on to the action item on the agenda for the deliberation and decision on the proposed resolution. Council, would you like to deliberate?
Before we do that, may I just make one more comment about public hearings? If there is no public, how do we alert people? Again, this has been ever since I got on, how do we alert people that there is a public hearing?
Well, we notice it in the paper as required, but
I saw that. It's this.
we post it.
It's
We
in the
post
middle
it.
of the classifieds.
It's in the legal session. We post it here at City Hall, and we are working on kiosk and other opportunities where there's public gatherings to let them know of the fun stuff that we do.
Okay, we did talk last time too about alerting through the utilities billing. This to me is not a public hearing if there's no public to speak on it.
I'd also like to comment that you had a room full of public commenters tonight who knew what the agenda was and chose not to stay.
I understand that, but they aren't, they were here for a
We're
certain
moving off
reason.
topic. I'm happy to bring that up.
Okay, all right. I just can't resist.
Engage
Go ahead.
nuclear power plants, strip clubs, all sorts of other things can get people out, but hotels. Any other council deliberation? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the resolution establishing the City of Sandpoint CPACE program and approving the program guidebook. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Deb, second by Joel. This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Tate,
Yes.
Counselor Duquette,
Yes.
Counselor Spiro,
Yes.
Counselor Torres,
Yes.
Counselor Schreiber,
No.
Counselor Rule.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, motion passes.
Excellent. Moving on. 6, we are skipping. That was the proposed resolution for the fees at the Russell Center. We'll get back to you on, we believe, March 4th. Finally, number 7, next we'll move on to proposed ordinance that will codify the amendments to Sandpoint City Code 913, Title 9, Chapter 4, Residential Zoning, and approved by City Council on January 21st. Is there any discussion? Are there any questions for staff? I'll now ask.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm not going to beat this dead horse again, but I just want to point out that we did hear from staff that our existing impermeable surface restrictions were not created with any sort of science or engineering. Luckily, right now, we're about to embark on a stormwater master plan. So I think we have a unique opportunity to update those standards. And so I would ask council to join me in postponing this item until we can ensure that those standards are the correct ones before we allow people to build all the way out to those impermeable surface standards, which will become lot coverage standards if this is approved. So I'd like to make a motion to postpone this item until our stormwater master plan is complete. And I would also like to include direction to staff to prepare a report to explore the opportunity of using these standards as a density bonus for workforce and housing affordability.
Second.
Motion by Kyle. I won't repeat it. I think you all heard it. A second by Pam. Any discussion? Hearing none, is a vote on this motion. This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Spiro,
No.
Counselor Tate,
Yes.
Counselor Duquette,
Yes.
Counselor Schreiber,
Yes.
Counselor Rule,
No.
Counselor Torres.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, motion passes.
All right, the ordinance, City Sandpoint, to modify our housing, Title 9, Chapter 1, Section 3, Title 9, Chapter 4, Section through 6 has been moved and postponed until we complete our stormwater master plan, which may be a while, but we'll move as quickly as we can. All right, so that will then skip us on my next couple of items, and we'll move on to title number 8. The next item under old business is a proposed ordinance that will codify amendments to City Sandpoint Code Title 3, Chapter 12, short-term rental of dwelling units approved by the council on January 21st. Is there any discussion or are there any questions for staff? I will.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Joe.
Jason, did you say that there was some legislation going on and there anything happened in the beginning of the meeting tonight, just to refresh my memory?
I did.
Okay. Could you refresh my memory again?
There is hearing probably on Tuesday next week for the Airbnb lobbyists bill completely deregulating STRs in the state of Ireland.
Okay.
Which would basically make our replaced ordinance tonight illegal. So I believe I sent you an email this morning that just gave you heads up that based on what happens with that bill, we'll likely be back here in a couple months with an update to this ordinance, repealing it again, replacing it with something mirroring the state law.
Got it. Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Jason, was there a similar effort last year?
Yes.
How about the year before?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Those, just to clarify, those efforts failed.
They did.
We're tuned into Tuesday's business committee meeting at the House.
There is a significant effort to keep this from passing.
Mayor.
Go ahead, Joe.
Maybe you can refresh my memory. The proposal today is just to be up to code today, right? It's not necessarily
correct.
Connected to what the
I think
future
the
vote might
information
be.
I'm trying to give you is that
Yeah.
you could not approve tonight's repeal in place or approve it, and depending on the outcome of next week's hearing and then the subsequent vote by the greater legislature, will be in violation of state law either way.
Right. Thank you.
Well, I should say, depending on the outcome of that vote, we'll be in violation if we do not repeal and replace tonight. And if that vote goes in support of the Airbnb lobbies changes, then we'll be in violation if we do repeal and replace tonight.
Right. So our current code is not congruent with Supreme Court cases, decisions. Any further discussion? I would ask clerk to read the title of the ordinance.
An ordinance of the city of Sandpoint, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, repealing and replace Sandpoint City Code, Title III, Chapter 12, providing for severability and providing for publication and an effective date.
I'd entertain a motion that the ordinance pass its first reading by title only and the summary is approved.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Joe, second by Joel. This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Rule?
Yes.
Counselor Duquette?
I will stand by my vote from last time, no.
Counselor Tate?
Yes.
Counselor Schreiber?
No.
Counselor Spiro?
Yes.
Counselor Torres?
No.
Is that a tie?
It's a tie.
I will vote yes. The ordinance is passed its first reading by title only and the summary is approved. I'd entertain a motion that the rules requiring 3 separate readings, once in the ordinance entirety be suspended, the ordinance pass its second and third reading under suspension of the rules.
So moved.
Moved by Joel,
Second.
second by Joe. This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Spiro?
Yes.
Counselor Schreiber?
No.
Counselor Tate?
Yes.
Counselor Torres?
No.
Counselor Rule?
Yes.
Counselor Duquette?
No.
I vote yes.
Busy.
Motion passes and the ordinance is considered read, passed, and adopted under the suspension of the rules. It will become effective upon publication of the summary in the newspaper. Moving along. For the final item under old business, I'd like to follow up on our conversation that began last fall regarding our Citizen Advisory Board's priorities for the new year and seek feedback from the council. Council members, you should have all seen in the packet the priorities for each of the commissions. As you know, the commissions many of you are part of, and just for the record, Deb has offered up her seat and requested to be removed from the Ped Bike Commission. Thanks for your service on that, Deb. So we'll be needing to activate new council members on that. But
Mr. Mayor?
go ahead, Deb.
As you're correct, I have rethought that. I'm still offering up my seat, but I had suggested, I know Kyle's very interested in that, and he has a little bit more seniority on the dais, and I believe he has accepted that offering. And I know there is another seat open for, I believe, the Arts Commission that one of our new council members may be interested in. And then the Tree Committee also would then open up if Kyle moved into my position.
Sure, sure. I'm happy to facilitate any way, whatever your passions are in terms of what committees you want to work on. If it comes to a disagreement, we can do some rock, paper, scissors or something, but
I do not disagree.
okay. Just let me know what committees and commissions you would like to be assigned and we'll make it happen.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the purpose here is, and I'll just start with this, is obviously starting something new up is difficult. Some of the committees and commissions, art, historic preservation, culture has been, they are just a model. They get it done. They are efficient. Ellie, if she's here, I don't see her, but she's just incredible. Some of the other commissions have kind of had fits and starts. I've felt frustration. They've felt frustration. I feel a responsibility to these volunteers giving their time. So the goal here was to say, hey, what are some priorities that you as commissions and committees are interested in? They're there to do our work to help all of you, whether it's research or implementation or activation. So based on those priorities that they came up with, just looking for your consensus as much as possible on those priorities that we can get back to them and really have them start working on the things that the council feels is important. And you might not agree with their priorities, that's fine. It was just the first task is for them to say, this is what we think are our priorities. So if we can do this informally and just talk about it right now, or that would be preferred is to try to get some direction from the council on what those priorities are for those committees and commissions. So with that, let's start with ACHP. Has the council reviewed that? Are there any questions about that priorities and anything you would seek to replace or add to in terms of their priorities?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Pam.
I just have a question. Resurfacing the basketball courts, I would.
We're not there yet. We're on ACHP on your screen.
Yeah, I know. The first one says.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Resurfacing the city's basketball courts.
I think that's
I
a
would have
Parks
thought
and
that-
Rec one. That
That's
must have
what I would
been.
have thought. That's my question.
Use the typo.
Okay.
My impression was that it was going to maybe have an artistic
Well, that's
flair to the paint
That
job.
could be.
Yeah, that's the fourth bullet.
Oh,
Yes.
There was a double.
okay.
I was
I didn't read that part.
confused.
apparently.
So assisting drafting the historic preservation ordinance, everyone generally agree that's good use of their time and good focus?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone object to that priority for them? Cedar Street Public Art Project, any concerns or?
Do we have any background on that?
I think Justin was our last council representative. Jason, you've attended some of those?
Yes, just yesterday, Sura approved $20,000 of funding for a public sculpture at the corner of Second and Cedar Street, where at the time of downtown revitalization phase 1, we included reinforced concrete for that very purpose. So this was something that's always been planned. And with Cheryl and the Arts Commission, we'll be putting together a request for proposals for public art to go at that location.
What corner?
Second and Cedar.
Southwest corner.
There's a lot of corners.
Next to the previous Vanderford,
Where-
right,
which one?
Vanderford.
Okay, on that corner.
Southwest corner.
Thank you, Southwest.
I'm good with that.
Right. Pursuing a potential artistic treatment for the City Beach basketball court, coordination with Parks and Recs Commission.
Should be fun.
Sound like a good priority for him? Anything else you'd like to add to their priorities? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to Parks and Rec. Basketball court resurfacing, I assume that was a typo. Kayak, SUP storage, and Euclid right-of-way access. Any questions or concerns or other directions on Parks and Rec that you'd like to give them as a priority for this year?
Are you guys, does that include, or who includes the sporting events or the games that you're going to be bringing back? Is that a part of this?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, that's just not one of the 3 stated goals, but this is not all that the Parks and Rec Commission will work on, but these are just the 3 goals that they're all inspired by the capital improvement plan that the Parks and Rec Commission developed last year, which was then approved by the City Council as part of our development impact fee study. So this was recommended to the council. Council approved the Parks Capital Improvement Plan, and now we're implementing the Parks Capital Improvement Plan.
Could you share where that kayak SUP storage might be?
Yeah.
The Parks Commission's desired location is on the beach in front of the proposed hotel at City Beach, near the 100 dock at the Windbag Marina.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Under Euclid right-of-way access, is that envisioned to be another sort of Third Street or Third Ave pier?
Not a pier because we don't own property out into the lake, but we own about 10 feet of property out into the lake, but possibly some stone steps, a picnic area, some passive park there with just improved access. People use it right now for swimming their dogs or for throwing sticks out into the lake for their dogs, but it's not a safe place for swimmers to access the lake at present. So we might have the opportunity to just improve it for public access. We own 60 feet of water frontage there, and it's an absolutely beautiful location.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I support that.
And just to be clear, we've budgeted approximately $30,000 this year for a design concept for that. No money has yet been budgeted for actually implementing an improvement there. This would just be conceptual. There's been no actual conceptual work done for that project. So we'd be at the very conceptual stage this year, not even like engineering, just design, conceptual work, community engagement, host workshops, do some site visits with community members and determine what would be a good use of that. I mean, it's probably a 9,000 or 10,000 square foot piece of property that we own from the corner of Euclid and what's the cross street there?
Pacific? No.
Not Ontario, it's Lakeview.
Lakeview. It changes there. Yeah.
So we own several thousand square feet of property there that is already kind of being used as a park. This would just be to formalize it and, beautify it.
All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Kyle.
A couple of years ago, there was talk of a non-motorized boat launch, kayak launch at the Welcome Center. I always thought that that was kind of an underused piece of city property, and perhaps that could take some of the traffic off of City Beach. Is there any?
There was some preliminary look investigation into that. That because of the topography there, and ADA requirements could be multi-million-dollar project. One of the items you're discussing later tonight is, the local option tax, and one of the things I've proposed to the mayor is possibly improved public access to the water. It could very well be a project that we implement should we have local option tax funding to do so. Some portion of a possible lot, if council decides to move forward with that.
Okay.
But otherwise, with our limited parks capital improvement budget, we're looking to do some smaller scale water access projects where we don't need $1 million ADA ramps down from 15 feet above the water level.
Sure, thank you. And then the other thing that had been discussed and kind of fell off the radar, I think, was a dog park. Is there any discussion about that at the Parks and Rec Commission?
Yeah, that was actually I think the 4th or 5th ranked item. These were the top 3. So we were asked to choose 3 projects for this year, but definitely in the medium and the 5-year term, a dog park is probably going to be one of our next, if when we come back a year from now with priorities for 2027, I think a dog park is likely to be on that, either probably at the planning or conceptual stage at that point. We did begin a few years ago conceptual planning for a dog park near the pickleball courts at Lakeview Park. At that time, planning for park improvements envisioned multiple millions of dollars of improvements, and you may recall a concept that included a terraced, steps down into the lake and a dog lagoon and rainbow bridges over from spit to spit. It was probably going to be a $10 million dog park, and I think in the current era, we're looking to do much more modest improvements. So the Parks Commission has discussed dog park ideas and locations, and we would be looking to do something much more modest than a multi-million-dollar dog park.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Hearing no more questions or concerns about Parks and Rec, Ped Bike. Obviously, the multimodal transportation plan update. I know Kyle and I share concerns with it, and so do others. It's really deficient in many ways. It doesn't have the detail we need to actually do capital improvement planning. So obviously that's one focus: sidewalks, street frontage, ordinance review, and recommendations to planning staff, city park and street maintenance, inventory and prioritization, safety striping, lane paint, and finally a strategic outreach plan with communication policy.
Mr. Mayor, if
Go
I
ahead,
might
Deb.
interject. So when I read this list, it seems very broad and high level. And some of these objectives seems like they're more staff-oriented types of tasks. Our streets takes care of streets and inventory and prioritizing and know when to stripe the lanes and paint and do all those things. So I think there's good intent here, but I had a couple different discussions. I emailed back and forth with Holly, who's our public works. I had discussions with Jason, and then we thought that it would be important to also involve fire and some of what came out of the conversation, what we think there's actually bandwidth for staff to do, and what we feel like one of the bigger challenges for the council has been trying to, as we had a recent very long council meeting about our Cedar Street rebuild, is to, as a council, maybe give some direction to involve fire, public works, and planning to develop updated standards that our committee and residents agree on. And that's in relative to the pedestrian experience with streets and the various types of connectors, arteries, residential streets. It was a huge challenge because not everyone seems to be on the same page. So staff time gets wasted in engineering something, and then it comes in front of committee and they're trying to re-engineer, but they're not engineers. And it's not that they need to be engineers. What the basis of this, what's most important to the pedestrians is the pedestrian experience. And so I would love to see a lot of prioritization of doing that within bicycle ped and figuring out what the near engineers want, what fire can live with, and how the planners see it, and have everybody come to the same place, see how the bike ped committee feels about that. And then when we start to rebuild our streets or we have street projects, we don't have to decide how to engineer up here on the dais, because I don't believe that's our job.
Amen.
And that's been a big struggle for us. So then I understand their need within the multimodal transportation, but I think if we address what I just discussed, then all that street pedestrian experience could then be folded into the multimodal. I don't believe that we have money to, yet to be seen to go down the path or staff bandwidth to redo our multimodal transportation plan at this point. I know a lot of us have some issues with different pieces of it. But I think that that would be something a little bit further down the list. And when that comes before council, then of course we would go to the committee and get the input and have very specific goals and things for them to do. And I think that that folds into the second one, which is the frontage ordinance review type of stuff. They shouldn't necessarily be doing the review, that's staff. But again, I think if we approach pedestrian experience and fold it into getting all our people on the same page, that that works it out. Number 3 is kind of off the table. That's the city's job. And then outreach, if there's time, then we go there. So
Deb, am I hearing you correctly? Strike number 3, and then combined 1 and 2 into a broader collaboration, coordination for street standards for the pedestrian experience?
I don't know that I would have the multimodal transportation plan unless we have a defined, if we're going out to redo that entire plan, or if we have the bandwidth within the staff this year. That one is kind of very gray to me. I know a lot of us want to work on it, but that's not been discussed. We've not gotten there this year to know. But I think street standards is what pedestrian and bicycle really wants to work on. And so I think inside of our policy and such, am I getting this right, Holly? Inside our policy and having them work with fire planning and public works all together so that we don't have that conflict occurring, or not really conflict, but just disagreement or different perspectives. So maybe, yeah, oh, thank you.
Help us.
Councilor Roll, I think you articulated it really well. I would just offer that if a multimodal plan update was worked on staff, it would be a priority for the Ped Bike Committee to review that. And if staff works on any street standards, Ped Bike Committee would have opportunity to review and comment from that pedestrian and bike experience perspective. So any standard or plan developments related to Ped and Bike Committee, giving them the opportunity to review might be the priority there.
Great. Anyone object to that description? So generally strike that third bullet. That's not a priority, right? That's what I'm hearing.
I think that staff does that? Would you, I don't know. I'm,
I think it's more just a guidance, so they don't open up a meeting and if it's somebody's thing, they're not occupying the whole meeting and the time trying to drive their thing. We could say that's really not a priority.
It's absolutely not a priority because I think it's the staff's job is what I'm trying to say. But it's the council's choice. I mean, I did sit on the committee. Yeah, so I just think there's, like, I look at Parks and Rec and that's really simple to understand. I know exactly what they're doing and exactly what we're getting. But I really have, and I sit on the committee, I have no idea what we're doing or what we're getting. So it needs to be more pragmatic and less of a bigger bubble.
Actionable, yes.
Yes.
Any council have any suggestions how to make it even more actionable?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I agree with Council President that the street standards need to be a priority. The experience with Cedar Street was more cumbersome than it needed to be, and I think that has to do with the outdated standards that I think should be reviewed by Bike Ped, and I'd love to hear their recommendations. I guess that fits into bullet point number 2, or actually the last part of point number 1. This is pretty difficult to read. I actually feel like I would like to hear from the Bike Ped committee about the pedestrian priority network and the bicycle priority network and get recommendations from them about where the best to use those limited funds that we have. I feel like we have kind of been spreading ourselves thin in that sense lately. In terms of street maintenance, inventory prioritization, safety striping lane, and that's a big list. I mean, if
wayfinding.
if the committee members have specific recommendations on those items, I'm willing to hear them.
And I think, wasn't there already some wayfinding?
We're going to be working on it as part of phase 3.
Yeah.
And we have
'Cause
some
that
for
is
the bike
important.
routes.
They had some signage for bike routes.
It's just a lot.
Yeah, it is
Sometimes
a-
it spins out of control. So
You're
I
right.
think the whole point of this was, okay, here's 3 simple things. Here's what staff has the bandwidth to do. Here's what council's priorities really are to go back to, okay, committee, help us with this. What do you think about these things instead of the committee? I mean, when you got the entire cookie jar, you're gonna eat all the cookies. And so, but we only have time for 3 cookies or, space in my belly.
In your pocket.
Right. So, Kyle's gonna work to narrow this down some more and bring it back to us.
Awesome. Well, I think that gives them some good feedback at this
Yeah.
point. They can get these minutes and we don't have to land the ship on them exactly, but in the interest of time, and once you make that formal adjustment, Kyle, I look forward to you helping them direct per the council's comments.
Thanks.
All right, we scroll down. Sustainability.
I'm happy to
I'm
share.
not going to read it for you. You can all read this. I will say, one of the aspirations I had for this committee is that they would come together and start to model and build a framework for a sustainability plan for the city.
This is exactly what these 4 things are for.
Awesome.
That is our basis. That is our broadest goal, is
Great.
to get a sustainability plan. But we feel these things need to be accomplished to be in that.
Great.
It sounded like point number 1 just got accomplished. I read.
Yeah, well, we're
Good start.
We're still working on that partnership. She hasn't yet said she wants to do that baseline data, but yeah. And so that is number 2 as well. Sorry to butt in.
You're
but
fine. You're the representative.
I think I understand it a little bit better than you may.
Yes.
The 3rd bullet, implementing F, I apologize. That's one of the committee duties, City Code 274. F is evaluate proposed parks, public works, infrastructure, and development projects and initiatives for their potential environmental impact and sustainability benefits, providing recommendations for improvements or alternatives. We would like to come up with some sort of framework to help the other committees and staff whenever a project or something is coming up so that we can help add any input to make it sustainable.
Okay.
And then the last one is to advocate for education and training for staff. And I sent you that. There was a student, one of the universities who contacted, one of their graduate projects is an internship at a city. So I'm not sure how.
Yeah,
that-
we'll have to work with Cheryl and.
But it would be awesome if we
HR.
could.
We sure would, free.
Because right now Rachel is giving some of us our time and it's valuable.
So valuable.
And I don't want to take all of her time away from what she does, but we do need.
She may become our committee trainer. She is just
Yeah, she's
outstanding.
amazing. Yeah.
Training them all. I did have one question.
Okay.
I just bounce it out there. I know, and maybe in some worlds it shouldn't be a questionable topic, but this whole idea of sustainability, advocate for education. Does that raise a concern from anywhere? Are we concerned that this is going to be perceived as a top-down indoctrination? Is council okay with that language? Advocate for education? I guess it's just staff. It's not the
Yeah,
public.
it's just,
So
it's
we can
just
educate our
thinking it's a
staff.
good idea. We can change the wording for sure. If you think we should.
Oh, I just throw it out there. I'm sensitive to
Throw it out
how
Say
things.
that again, Mr. Mayor.
That fourth bullet point under sustainability, advocate for education and training for staff on sustainability. I just know that there's sensitive topics in the world, and does this look like a sort of indoctrination top down, we are going to educate you? Or is this read well and gonna fit the bill?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, wouldn't that matter, like what standards we're trying to abide by?
Yeah, and what we're gonna educate on, yeah.
Definition of sustainability, I guess.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes along with that internship or.
And it's advocating for education and for staff training. So I think that would come to us. They would be advocating to us, say, hey, we would like education and staff training. My mind goes to our committees going out and showing up at Public Works.
No.
Telling somebody
Nope.
how they need to do their job to be more sustainable or something.
I read that as the committee advocating, requesting of the council.
Okay, good.
To educate
Staff,
and train staff.
excellent,
That's what we mean.
That was my understanding of it as well.
good. I just wanted to bring that up.
It's wording.
Good, so that, barring any objection, we'll move on to urban forestry. Pretty clear here, nice and straightforward. Any questions, comments, or redirection on the bullet points for urban forestry?
I can give some background if anyone is interested. The tree ordinance is mostly done. We do have a tree ordinance in place and it's out of date, but the commission has worked pretty hard over the last year to get the definitions of heritage trees updated so that we have something in code to identify a tree that's, worth saving when one
comes up.
Yeah. I would recommend as part of that the planning staff set aside a little time to meet with the commission. I think their expertise would be really great in pushing that across the finish line. The tree planting plan, I was just walking around downtown actually today, and there's a lot of stumps where we have planted trees in the past. And so I think putting something on paper that not only says, these are the spots where we need to plant some trees, but here's how we're going to take care of them after they're planted, because all of those stumps were pretty small trees that I think could have used some love when they were first planted. The budget analysis, I kind of hesitated to even have them put on this list because it's already in our code that it's a requirement of them, but they felt strongly that it be put on this list because it didn't happen last year. And so I think it's important that staff starts that process with them immediately so that they do have a budget recommendation to bring to us in time for our budgeting season. And then the outstanding tree pamphlet, it's come to our attention that several of those trees don't exist anymore. And so we should probably update that. The arboricultural manual, man, it's taken me a year to be able to say that word, is actually referenced several times in our code. And it's, I think, 20 years out of date at this point. So it is important that they go through it. Luckily, we have some very talented people on that commission. So I'm looking forward to harnessing that expertise.
Excellent. Any concerns or questions from the council about the priorities for the Urban Forestry Committee? Awesome. I think we've landed the ship. Thanks, council members. That concludes the discussion on that. We will transmit those to the committees and get you all assigned. Joe and Josh, let us know how you want to participate. And so Deb, that will leave you committee lists. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you probably put in quite a few years of committees.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
are we going to discuss any of this at our Wednesday group?
On your strategic planning?
Yeah, for committee, because I know the ADA committee is been spoken about, but it obviously it's on the
Yeah, I
list.
think when you all engage in your strategic planning exercise, that would certainly be appropriate time to bring that up. That's one of the committees we haven't re-engaged. There's a little bit of background there of why. Yeah, I think that'd be a priority of the council in the strategic plan.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So moving on to new business, I brought forward the first.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Deb.
That says it was an action item.
Oh, sorry, I'm reading my script.
To protect your agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can make an action to move those.
Except those, we acted on
Um, So moving on to new business, I brought this first item under new business for the purpose of kicking off discussion of the possibility of the city placing a local option tax question on the May 2026 ballot for voter consideration. As was in the agenda packet, we are under a fairly tight timeline. The local option tax, I think you all probably understand it, but we could present this to the voters at the May election. To do that, we'd have to get it to the county by early March. I think it's March 3rd, if I remember correctly. Melissa might be able to correct me, but we basically have to move this forward, at least in the ballot language. So I was hoping we could have discussion about the benefits of the local option tax, questions, comments, concerns, additions. In the packet, I threw out a number of ideas, one of which I think is really worthwhile. When we ran the bond election for the wastewater plant, did hear a lot of comment about why aren't outsiders and visitors paying? Why is this all falling on the utility payers? So one thought is, in addition to the roads, which we have minimal, if any, funding to maintain, that we could potentially apportion some of this local option tax to pay off some of the future bond debt on the wastewater plant. I don't know the particular percentage or amount. I think that's open for discussion. As in the staff report, there's other ideas that we could try to stimulate a yes vote, which would include funding for SPOT, funding for EMS, funding for public access to waterfront, and potentially public funding for some framework for affordable housing. Thanks for bringing that up. So with that, I want to talk about the last effort we made 2 years ago to pass the local option tax, which passed the majority but didn't meet the supermajority. That was for roads and some alley work. I learned a lot. We learned a lot. We did, as you all know, we can't advocate for the passage. We can only educate, but we certainly private parties can advocate. I don't think we found enough partners willing to advocate for the tax. I think we can do a better job when it comes back again. But more than anything, I'm hopeful that we could move fairly quickly over the next 2 or 3 meetings to come to consensus on whether we want to pose a local option tax, the duration, and what projects would be funded by that. So with that, I would open it up for council discussion or comment.
Just say the last.
Yeah, go ahead.
The last option tax, I don't think it was advertised well at all. I think that's why that one fell apart, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it
don't-
got over 50%, but this time we've heard from the downtown business groups that they will support this. I continue to get emails every week about the roads, and I explain people are funding whole. And yeah, we absolutely, maybe even engaging that same firm that did our sewer bond education, Portman Square. They did a great job with some surveys and education. But ideally, we could get this across the finish line. For the new council members, if you're not familiar with local option tax, we have the ability under the current state statute to levy this, bring it to the voters until we hit a population of 10,000. So that will happen at the next census in 2030. So we have a diminishing time period here where under the current statutes, we can go to the voters to request this. There's no limit on the duration that we can put it out there. I believe Haley's is out there for like 25 years. Once it's in place, even if we grow beyond the 10,000, it stays in place. And the high level analysis from the last time we had this in place for the Memorial Field project, it appeared that in excess of 40% of the tax ballooned and came in during very defined periods of summer tourism. So it does look like non-residents contribute significantly to this, and it would be a great way to come up with new revenue for our community, which I can tell you is desperately needed.
Mr. Mayor.
Joe.
Yeah, I think I support this. I like it. I just think in the effort of being really transparent in communicating and making sure that the people that are voting for this will know exactly where their money's going, and maybe an ongoing system of being able to help deliver that message. Because I just, in the climate of politics, there's not a lot of trust. So I kind of ran on that platform of transparency and trust building and in relationships and all that stuff. So I would back this, but I would want some kind of things in place where we can be very clear, tangible stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of things to that point. One, we can provide, if it is approved, we can put language that will build trust and show quarterly what the collections are, where they're going, even more so than the annual budget, just to update people on projects. In terms of awareness, as this ramps up, obviously it's going to be on the ballot, so they're going to read that. But over the next two meetings, ideally, we would come to consensus on what the projects are, percentages, duration. We'd talk about that at our next council meeting, have some maybe draft ballot language that we could work through and discuss. And then by late February, at our second February meeting, hopefully have that at a stage where we felt comfortable moving it and putting it on the election this spring. Other comments, questions, thoughts? Kyle?
I agree with Joe. I think that clear and transparent is going to be the most palatable to the voters. I think there's a lot of support out in the community for road and sidewalk infrastructure. I think that would be something that would be pretty popular and not very controversial. I have a lot to say about city budgets, but it's getting late. I think I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Can I just try to tease out from you? You had brought up a desire to address affordable housing as well as other council members. You comfortable with some initial first draft language that would include some portion of the local option tax to go towards that issue? Or are you thinking that's not, I mean, obviously this would be on the agenda. The public would hopefully come out and let us know their thoughts on it in the future, but I don't know if it's establishing an incentive, down payment for deed restriction to support community land trusts. I mean, there's a lot of ways we could go with that.
How much do we already spend on streets?
Well, generally on the lodging tax, that the second one that went through for 7 years, Sarah, is that about $500,000 a year? Sidewalks and streets from the second 7%? Yeah. It's our finance director, Sarah.
I was actually thinking out of our general fund.
Oh,
Sorry to put you on the spot, Sarah.
oh, she's a
So that's a
walking,
broad question. So
Yeah.
let's narrow it down. Do you, so lot tax first?
No, just general fund. How much do we spend out of our general fund typically on streets
We've been,
and
trying-
sidewalks?
so it used to be when about 8 years ago when I started, it was about 250. We've tried to do 500,000 areas though, depending on the other projects that are out there. It also has depended on sidewalks. So sidewalks and streets is kind of combined into that.
Okay, and that's just general fund.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
without, but also the lot tax is in general fund. So
Exactly.
yeah.
But the lot tax is specific and has to be used for what was
Yeah, so
designated.
I guess that's what I mean, is like when you say general fund, that is included in general fund. So that 500,000 is not included part of that general fund part. In total, it's about $1 million in general fund. So
Okay, so if we weren't to count the lot tax that we're already getting, just our property tax general fund is about 500,000, is that what you said?
the non-lot tax that we already have, or the non-lot tax we already have,
Yeah, the part that's,
yeah, it's 500,000. That's in general fund. And
Okay.
that's not just property taxes. That includes a bunch of other revenues. That goes into general fund. I mean, you have,
Right.
yeah.
okay. So the reason I'm asking that is that if we had money to supplant our streets coming from this new sales tax, then that would free up some money in our general fund to spend on
Yep.
whatever the council directed that budget towards.
absolutely.
Whereas if we put too many ideas into the ballot language,
Yep.
I think it'll be much harder to get public support for
Yeah,
it.
that's good thinking.
Yes.
Good thinking.
Yeah, I think Mr. Mayor.
Go
we
ahead, Joe.
discussed that with the last one, less is more.
Yep.
I think that one was purely an educational and possibly advertising issue. I mean, if anything, this last election showed us that, we got a super majority, 80, with 90?
89%.
Yeah, and almost 90% for the wastewater treatment plant. So it's North Idaho, right? We've talked about it. There's always a lack of trust with politics here, no matter who's in office, period. And that's okay. So, but I think the people spoke very clearly that they trust us to move forward with that project. So a lot of the money should be geared towards that project and relieving the citizens as much as we can in that. And to Kyle's point, less is more in this regard as well. What is something we can put in there that, your Republicans, your Democrats, your strange creatures in between are all going to say, hey, this is something we can get behind. Is affordable housing going to be it? I would say no.
Mhm.
Is spot going to be that? I'd say no. There's a lot of people that don't like spot. So what is something that everybody wants? Basic infrastructure. So I think moving gearing towards that would be
Sort of roads and sewer.
to Councilman Schreiber's point, that free ups other monies that we can use for other things.
Yep.
So my 2 cents through that.
Yeah, that's good thinking.
I do like
Josh?
support, I do like the idea of affordable housing support, so. just to put that out there.
Yeah, and Josh, what they're saying, so right now we're using some of our general funds, which are free dollars, so that we're putting in roads right now. If we had a broader, dedicated, consistent fund for roads, that might free up a little money from our general fund that we could do some other things with, because right now, well, you see the budget, but it's not a lot of playroom or new project money, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Pam.
I believe last time we also talked about a seasonal time for the tax.
Yeah, we did. And the feedback I got from some of the business community was that if you run a point of sale, you got to adjust your swipe card, you got to adjust your cash register because it's set up at 6%.
And I know I had trouble with putting more tax on food for people. And I know that's a big food and medicine.
We did some analysis for the last one, and for the average household food expenditure, I forget the number, don't quote me on it. I want to say it was about $65 a year. But that would bring in hundreds and hundreds of thousands from visitors. And to the point of the sewer project, I mean, if we could allocate half or 3/4 of this towards the sewer project, that would have a significant impact on our sewer rates.
That would get votes.
And keep them from going up and have an outside source helping to pay for that, since we're not getting any federal funds at this point.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Cal.
So I put a lot of thought into that, and the issue that I came up with there is that we're hoping to get grant funding to help us pay for the sewer. If we write that into our tax does that limit our options to collect or use that tax after the sewer bond is paid off?
Yeah, it would depend on how we write it, first answer. And the second one, just as an update, I was in Boise last week working on the sewer plant, and boy, there is just not a lot of federal support for funding infrastructure. I mean, it's zero. And it shocks me that we can get $1 million for an RV park and we can get a total of 3.8 for a sewer plant, and that's coming from the state, of which there were some real threats to that getting clawed back this session. It's preserved right now, thanks to the director of DEQ, but even with a very generous grant from the feds, there's still going to be tens of millions of dollars of debt payment on these bonds for the sewer plant. And I can't imagine us exhausting the local option tax. But I think it comes down to how we word it. So maybe we can word it in a way that sends it there to a level, and that's some of the stuff we can work on in the next meeting or two.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
I agree that that needs to be
Well,
well shared verbally.
oh, yeah, no, I think that's one of the big things is just making sure, we learned a lot in that wastewater bond election about education. So what I intend, and let me know if you have concerns, I'll work on couple different draft languages with pieces, put it on the agenda for discussion next meeting, and we can chew on it and kick it around a little bit more. And then hopefully at our last meeting in February, I guess that is it. Oh, it's coming down. We'll be able to hopefully move some language to the county for inclusion on the ballot and then kick off. Then we have until May to ramp up an education program and outreach and all that. Good. Excellent. Next item on the agenda, 11, request by Councilwoman Pam Duquette, an item on the agenda for the council to consider directing staff to draw new accessory dwelling units or ADU standards.
And
Pam, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would change that word from direct to request. I didn't mean direct necessarily. I had talked to Bill Dean about this. He thought eventually, he asked me how quick I wanted it done, and I know you guys are really busy with everything that's going on with the downtown. I know also that Heather Upton had been working on this when she was here. I know that Planning and Zoning had been working on it when Amy Tweeten was here. And I know Planning and Zoning had mentioned at one point, what happened to it? We had it, we were working on it, where did it go? I think it fits really well right now, postponing the code 913, because that gives us time to get some design standards, and I don't know the code language that would be, but I do trust Jason and Bill on that. Just to get that going. And if you want me to pull all the issues out of the comp plan, I've got pages where it supports that we want to keep a neighborhood character when we're building these ADUs. We'll be promoting new structures within the residential zoning codes. I don't know, it's just Bill thought if I could get a majority of the council to agree that he would see that when time allowed and not putting it off indefinitely again,
Just
that you
prioritize.
guys could
Yeah.
work on it.
Yeah, Pam, and I'll let Jason speak in a second, but we've got a pretty robust planning team now, very robust, very qualified. And the reason this dropped off was because they were prioritizing, well, one, dealing with all the permits and ramping
Lost
up
people.
and getting, the commercial code, which has now been introduced. So yeah, if the council wants that as the next priority, we were going to go through all the commercial codes and then the residential codes and then the industrial codes. This would have been caught in the the residential code update, but you can certainly direct us to prioritize that. We just want to make sure we're working at the pleasure of the council and the direction you want staff to move.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Joe.
Maybe I'm missing something. Would you mind, and I'll ask Mr. Welker some questions, exactly what we're trying to nail down here? I'm just a little confused. We just last meeting approved the ordinance or for 913, and then a couple council members changed their minds, and I'm not sure why. So now we're saying no. And maybe, Mr. Welker, how much time, I'm a little frustrated, but how much time and hour, like, I don't, like, if we're going to tell you guys to work on things, can you give me an idea of how much time, hours, meetings you guys took for 913 and the short-term rentals, like to get to the point we're at now to see it denied? Like, help, maybe I'm overreacting with my emotion, so maybe you can help me understand.
The residential zoning work that we did, of which lot coverage was less than 1% of the changes that were made. In fact, no.
Say that
changes
one more
made.
time, sorry.
Sorry, the residential zoning amendments that we worked on from September through December, of which impervious surface was not changed in those amendments. And impervious surfaces and lot coverage was probably less than 1% of the overall changes we made. That was, I'd estimate, 200 to 300 hours of staff work and 15 hours of planning and zoning commission meetings and 3 public hearings. So if you imagine the resources, I mean, the city's tens of thousands of dollars and time into resources that went towards that zoning work. That's why I would definitely ask if you're going to request staff to work on amending standards around ADUs, you be very specific so we can go in and make very specific changes so that we don't waste time.
Yeah, I feel like
over
that's
the
what
next
we-
3 months.
so I feel like we
require additional hearings and presentations of the planning commission, and council should be aware that the previous direction was to prioritize historic preservation in downtown, core and outer core, commercial A. We're still months of working on that. There's definitely some concern now that maybe all the work we do at the planning commission won't culminate in acceptance of that work. So.
Right. And that's partly my frustration. Did anybody come to you or Holly to discuss that before this meeting?
Discuss what?
Like the impervious surface and with the concern with the ADUs and adding lot coverage?
Not between 2 weeks ago, no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, so that's where part of my confusion and frustration is we're going to direct staff. And I want to give kudos to Councilman Schreiber. He's been very clear why he voted no. And so I give him kudos to that. And Councilwoman Duquette on the height and stuff. So I just want to be very specific here so we don't, we always talk about protecting staff and their time. But I feel like we just wasted, as you said, 3 months and hours and money that we're not getting. Doesn't seem like we're getting back just to vote no after the last meeting. It seemed like it was going to be a yes. So if we can just be very, very specific as we move forward, that's my desire.
And that's what I request of Councilwoman Duquette is, please tell us what you'd like us to look at with ADUs. We do not have design standards for any residential neighborhoods in Sandpoint in regards to, we don't tell people what materials they can use, what shape roof they're allowed to have, what, so on and so forth. Design standards might not be the correct term here. I think what you're getting at is more about building height.
Yeah, height limits, character, location on lots. Bill, I talked to him at length on this. He didn't see that it was an issue. I'm not pushing instant. I get it has to be in the queue. I don't want it dropped off like it was before when Amy was working on it and when planning and zoning had been working on it and when Heather worked on it. Talk about staff time that had already been working on it. There's a lot in there. And I do want to say that I did not change my vote. I voted no. I was going to vote no again.
And I know you did.
And I said why? Because I did not think 70% impervious surface on smaller lots was a good idea.
Yeah. And
I
with all
said
due respect,
smaller
you never
lots
said you
were
changed
okay.
your vote.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was
let's
implied.
not get into
Anyway,
this.
no, I'm not, I'm just
wasn't
trying to
implied.
clarify that I did not change my vote in this last time. I was going to vote no again today anyway,
Yeah.
until he decided to share a good idea, I thought. Anyway, I have talked to Bill. He did not seem to think it was going to be a big issue to get this done. He seems to be kind of a wizard with codes and issues. I don't know, we could ask what Commissioner Benner thinks. I know he has said before that we started on all of this.
How about, here's a
Okay.
proposal or maybe a
Okay.
middle ground. Councilwoman Duquette, maybe, or Pam, maybe you can get together with Bill and spend some time with the code and enumerate the specifics. So the council can then, maybe at the next meeting, vote on exactly the elements.
Okay, I didn't want to take up his time again. I did spend quite a while with him. He said if I could get a majority of the council to agree that we needed to look at ADU standards because there's pretty like nothing in the code that I see on it. And I've seen the heights of them go crazy kind of areas. He thought he would be able to deal.
So primarily, maybe we can narrow it now, primarily related to height.
Height, I said height limits, character,
Character's a
location.
tough one. Just to sidebar history here, when I was planning director, we didn't allow ADUs. Our first allowance was the amnesty program. If you had one, let us know and we would approve them. And then we went to, and Deb may remember this, I think she was on planning commission, the ADU had to mirror the architectural details of the primary home.
Okay.
And we had one down in Michigan that ended up getting built, I think it was Michigan, and it was very expensive and it looks just like the primary home. And then after my departure with the city, they revised it to make it a little lower barrier because they wanted housing, additional housing to be developed. So height.
We can go to the comp plan
character,
and read, like I said, every page that I wrote down that this fits with.
Mr. Mayor, the
Yeah.
other thing is it might be useful for all of the council members to watch the planning and zoning meetings where this work was already started.
Right.
And then take a look at whether or not they believe that the planning commission was on the right track, and then comment on that.
Thanks, Fonda.
And
Yeah,
then
that's good.
take a vote on whether or not it moves up the priority list on code drafting.
So maybe that's the action item for staff is we could get you some of those meeting links to where planning commission had discussed this, where it was 3/4 baked. We can have council review that and then provide feedback at the next meeting on if that's the right
Can we get
direction.
the work that Heather has done? Can we see that?
Heather's work is included in those meetings.
Okay,
Yes.
because I did not see those meetings from before. And I am not pushing this in queue first at all.
Yep.
I had talked to Bill, it was very calm, casual. He said, after the other things are done, I just don't want this to fall off again and then start getting these monstrosities behind everybody's house.
I hear you.
You know, it just changes the whole character of the neighborhood. I'm a witness of one.
Yeah, I will point out that in the absence of some revised code, every homeowner and a neighbor have the ability to join one another and create their own homeowners association to prohibit and set their own standards. So just, that's a relief measure that's out there. But does that sound good, Pam? We can have staff identify which meetings might be helpful for the council to review. Council can look at those meetings on double speed and see if P&Z was on the right track, and then we could provide a little more clarity for the director.
I don't
Mayor.
want
If I may, Councilman Duquette, can we summarize your
woman.
concerns?
Thank you.
I think I said Councilwoman, sorry.
I didn't hear that.
Councilwoman Duquette, could we summarize your concerns in maybe a couple bubbles, height and size? Are there any other concerns you have around?
Well, he mentioned location on lots, which I don't.
Setbacks.
And yeah, and I don't understand all that. That's not my job to understand or to be able to do that. Mine is to request it be addressed again like it was and not forget about it, especially with the new zoning codes allowing.
Just to be clear, your preference is that we increase restrictions to make them smaller.
I'm not saying anything about restrictions. We have none. As I looked at the code, there's barely anything that talks about what they have to be.
I think you
Okay.
will be tremendously
Okay.
impressed
Okay.
with the
Okay.
discussion and the
Okay.
educational opportunity of those previous planning and zoning meetings
Okay.
first. They do go into great detail
Good.
on setbacks, the different setbacks with the different structures, the different types of
Okay.
ADUs. I think it's a great starting point to really educate on what's in existence now.
Right.
And then look forward to what the planning commission was working on at that time and then say, yes, they're on the
Right.
right track, or
Okay, the fact that they had done all that work and then it just got let go, is my issue. I just want it revisited.
And I think it's going to be useful for everybody involved because there's a
Okay.
lot of new bodies in these seats that weren't involved at
Okay.
that time.
Mr.
Excellent.
Mayor.
I
Go ahead, Joe.
appreciate that.
Jason, so I'm hearing there's no, as of right now, like not a lot of restrictions with ADUs. That's what I'm.
They have to conform to the zoning requirements
Right.
of the underlying zone. So the setbacks are established by whether they're in the single family.
Right.
Building height is established by whether they're in the single family zone or the multifamily zone. I think what there's some desire for is perhaps restrictions that apply to ADUs that might not apply to a primary structure in regards to, larger setbacks or lower building heights. The most recent amendment to our ADU code took place in around 2022, I believe. And that's when the allowable size of an ADU was increased from 600 feet to 900 feet. And that was, of course, to make them more feasible for people. There were people who said, I want to put one above a garage, for example. Also, ADUs trigger additional parking requirements in our code. So one of the considerations that we'll be weighing with the Planning Commission when we get to working on this is that if we restrict the height to a single story, for example, because we don't want them to be as tall as primary structures that are allowed in the zones, that precludes many, many property owners from putting an ADU above a garage.
Right.
So now we struggle to achieve the off-street parking. The last round of ADU amendments were to make them easier and
Right.
more appealing because our comp plan speaks to the value of ADUs as a type of a variety of housing that increases availability of housing and promotes affordability in Sandpoint.
Right.
So,
And it also-
going back towards smaller sizes or height limits might make them less viable.
Yeah. So my
And also, the
Go ahead.
driving force one of the driving purposes between the relaxing the building footprint standard in the code that was code amendments that were rejected tonight was to enable them on lots where they currently aren't feasible because of the 35%
Correct.
lot coverage maximum.
Right. So any setback or height restriction is a restriction, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And that can make it more difficult for people to want to build an ADU, right? So I just want to make sure we're clear as we move forward, like what we're actually doing.
Yeah, I understand the direction to be not to liberalize, but to further regulate ADUs to.
I'm not saying I want that. I'm saying that's essentially what happens.
That would be the ask or the potential.
And to have it fit with the comp plan.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I want to actually show gratitude to the planning and zoning for all the work that they've already put in on this. I sat in on some of those planning and zoning meetings back in 2023, and I feel like they were very close to the finish line. If anything, not picking this back up is throwing away the work that has already been done. I didn't agree with all of the measures that they had done. They wanted to reduce the square footage that council had recently added. Another one that pops to mind is additional setbacks on higher floors. So you could have a bigger footprint on the ground floor, but then it has to step back as you go higher, which I don't think is a terrible idea. It does affect feasibility to some point, but I think there was a lot of really good work done, and I think that's a great starting point without starting from scratch. So I think maybe the best path forward right now is just a staff report as to where we left off. Without directing staff to do any more work, let's just see where we're at and what's on paper, and do we like it? Do we want to move in that direction, or do we not like it and not move? Or move in a different direction?
Good idea. Good idea. Anyone object to that? I see
Can
no
you share the
objection.
dates of those meetings with me so I can watch those, please?
I'll investigate that and send out some links to some meetings from 2023. Was it, Kyle?
I think
Yeah, election night of 2023.
I do remember it was being worked on.
Remember that night? All right, it sounds like there's an
Mr.
event
Mayor?
that will be, go ahead,
Would
Deb.
would Ms. Duquette, like to table the item until we have further information to discuss it with more
Sure.
factual information? Or do you want to just?
Since it was an action item.
Just
have a motion related to staff preparing a report and sending out the previous video recordings as a starting point.
Is that a motion?
Yep, so moved.
Second by Kyle, moved by Pam. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Deb.
All right, council, with the business on the agenda concluded, the meeting is now adjourned at 8:29 PM.